he appears.
This is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Greetings and welcome to Winning Saturday Night. How's everybody doing out there? Hope you're all doing and living well. What's going on, guys? Let me start this evening, as always, by thanking those awesome people out there in the winner's circle who make it happen on a monthly basis. Thank each and every one of you for being part of the solution. And a big thanks to Shelly Wolfram and Ronnie Jams for also supporting us over on Rumble. We are broadcasting live tonight on Rumble, X, and YouTube, as always. And away we go. This is Winning Saturday Night, where you are part of the fun. What we do here is we just hang out, have a good time. We cover some good news of the week. We look at some cool things, and we watch some funny videos. And that's pretty much what we do. And we have a good time doing it with the most awesome bass crowd in the world right here, right now. All everybody together. What do you say? What do you say? So good to see each and every one of you. Let me just make sure everything is rolling correctly here on this end as we get started. Let me see here. Okay, that's good. All right. Yes, yes, yes. And this is good as well. Yes. All right. Let's get that. Okay. There's and there's and there's. Okay, good. Yeah, we are off and rolling on all platforms. Good to see it. All right, guys, what's up there, crowd? How you doing out there? Good to see you, MJ, and see you later. Well, hopefully we'll see you soon. Heidi, how's it going? Welcome. Thanks for holding it down on the Rumble side over there. Appreciate you. And we got Sir Frank Otter in the house. What's going on? He'll be lurking, but he loves everybody. That's good. And Jay's back here. There you go. All right. Wolfram, my friend, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for dropping these links. As always, guys, remember to check out Shelly's channel and make sure you subscribe. Man, we got to get her over 1,000. We got to do this stuff. We got to get that going. That 700 range has been lingering for way too long. We got to do something about that. But remember, when you're here, to always listen to the wolf. He knows what he's talking about. He wipes his paws, he lopes in, and he howls. And that's how you know the Alphamont is in the house. And then away we go. Yes. All right. Let's see who else we got in here to say hello to. Oh, there's Shelly. Shelly talking trash and truth, saying, hey, hey, hey. She's our host with the mostest. In here, giving out big hugs to everybody who comes in the door on all platforms. All platforms. She's everywhere you want to be. Cool Gamer. What's up, my friend? How you doing, Cool Gamer? How have you been? How are things going over in your part of the world? Let us know. So good to see you, buddy. So good to see you. And there's T-Rex Trucking. Is this a new one? What a new one? Who's a new one? Where's a new one? What's new? What do you mean what's new? What do you mean? Is it a new one? It's a new one. It's always a new show. We'll figure out what he means eventually. We always do. But there's my VIPs in the front row, hanging out, making it happen. Right there, you're up close, and there is Libby. Libby, what's up? Libby swinging in just in time to be part of the front row VIP crowd. There he is. There he is. There he is, everybody. All right. guys, we are off and rolling, and we have a good show for you tonight. Got a bunch of different interesting things. We'll be all over the place. It's one of those Saturday nights where it's all over the place. But what's on your mind? What's on your mind tonight out there in the crowd? Always interested in wanting to know what people are thinking about today on this wonderful Saturday. It was a nice day here. Hope it was a nice day wherever you're at. Nice and mild, little chill in the air. Yeah, it probably snowed where Shelley was. Never stopped snowing there. It snows constantly. It's like a recycling machine. It snows and snows and snows. Then snows and snows. I know that she had a good day. What's everybody else out there? How's your day going? Tell me about it. I'm gonna try to make y'all chat. Let's go chat. I'm gonna talk. Tell me what it is. Tell me. As we get people rolling in the door here. And let me just make sure that this is off and rolling over on the Rumble side. Let me go check in over there on the Rumble view. Remember, Rumble, you guys have a special assignment as always. You make it happen because you have to help us get out in that algorithm on the Rumble side. And that means you gotta hit the base button, the cool button, the awake button, the thumbs up button, the winners button. Yes, winners hit the thumbs up. Losers, you get your. I see. I look out for everybody, even the losers and the unbased people. They got a thumbs down. It's just for you. But as long as you're interacting with the stream, you're doing the stream right. You're doing the channel right. So you know what? We love you all. But thank you so much, and to each and everybody for doing that, especially on the Rumble side, because you guys help us meet cool new people that come hang out with us. And make Rumble happen. The alternative platform, the only one out there really competing on the video content level with YouTube right now. And though the Rumble Studio sucks, and I won't be participating in the partnership program because of that, unfortunately. I can't lower the quality of the show to make Rumble happy and then just to read ads in the middle of it, which I don't have a problem doing if I had something to read. If I had a sponsor, I would do that. You got to get to a certain level to have sponsorships. I guess, and when you do that, then you can do those kind of fun things, and it becomes more of less of a hobby and more of a full-time occupation, which I think I can handle. If it were to be so, then it will be. It's all in God's hands. It's all in the universal flow, and we shall see what is meant to be for this winning reality. Yeah, I'm going to try to rhyme everything tonight. Base number 3. Hey, Serene Pickle, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you on the Rumble side. See, that's another awesome new person that we got to meet because you guys make it happen out there in Rumble, right? You guys make it happen. So that's another cool person we got to meet right there and is now part of the crowd hanging out on a Saturday night. Woohoo! This show does pretty good at Rumble on the Saturday nights. It does pretty good. There's a lot going on. It used to be during the week we were just stressing over all the mayhem and the bad things we're hearing happen and the authoritarian corruption that we were living under, and now that it's all being undone, we tend to have good news all the time. It's good news for us, at least. It's not good news for those who want a authoritarian regime and a dystopia for the people, if you will, and a utopia for the elitists who treat us like cattle. Those people, the kind of people who just don't get it. They don't get it. Those they don't like. They would. Our good news is their bad news, but our good news is real good news, and that's what it's all about. And we're gonna have some good news for you tonight. Like as promised, I got a few promises lingering for this weekend here. But one is going to be some really good news to start out with. As we get into that segment here in just a little bit, we go good news, cool things, and cool and funny videos. And I got them all for you tonight. We're going to be looking at finally and rightfully so, George Floyd, the hoax narrative is over. And I hope that means a lot of good things for a lot of good people out there that have been wrongly treated during this. So, and also all the subversion around this, all the division around this topic. So we're going to start off with some of that good news tonight, as well as other good news of just the establishment falling apart and other little tidbits here and there. Cool things tonight. We're gonna find out the origins of the song "Mother" by Danzig. That's one thing. We're gonna see a new hovering car, which is questionable as to whether or not that's really cool or not. It looks kind of like, to me, you can see it when we go there, but to me it looks like it's really unstable, unstable flat, hovering car. But I don't get the practicality of it either, but we'll talk about that later on. There's a giant cube being built, of course, in a far off country somewhere. So we'll talk about the giant cube. If you don't like living in a line, maybe you'll like living in a giant cube. I don't know. Um, and we'll take a look at some other things and cool things tonight. Um, whatever we may find. If you guys have some cool things or some good news or some funny videos you want to share with me, make sure that you get into the Discord, or you talk to Shelly. She has a direct line of communication with me always, and you can get those to me. And if you don't, if we're not already friends on Discord, and just let me know in the chat you sent me something, and I'll check it out if I can, and if it's appropriate, and if it fits, if it's not copyrighted to hell and back, then probably will get played. I'm really laid back on Saturday nights. Real laid back. It's all about you guys and us just chilling out and having a good place to hang. Because we do a lot of hard work during the week. Coming up this week, it looks like we'll be going right into our next book. I know I said I might take a tweener week and do something, but I don't know. It still could happen. It has to deal with unrigged the game though. So if there's something there that fits, if it works, then we'll do it. If not, we're gonna go right into War on Warriors by Pete Hegseth. Getting that show together now, the new thumbnail, the new intro, all that stuff. Well, the new thumbnail for the new intro. There you go. And all that stuff. So that'd be great if you guys like to read audiobooks or you haven't read an audiobook with us yet. This will be our sixth one. So you can jump in with us right away at the very start of a brand new book and get to know our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who's going to be kicking ass and taking names, and he already has started doing it. Yes. And of course, other kinds of good stuff we do during the week here, like Winning Tonight, Unveiling Reality this week. Just to let you know, it's Scripter Wars. It's Scripter Wars. These guys, I don't know, man. Interesting things. I got a thread now that I am getting to know the people on UFO Twitter, UAPX, whatever you want to call it. The good guys on there, the degrifters, the ones that are calling out the bullshit. One of them got a weird series of DMs from none other than Jake Barber. So I'm going to be covering that this Wednesday, as well as another guy we haven't really talked about, but he came out and kind of confessed something about Jake Barber too. So it'll be a Jake Barber heavy kind of week, but we'll have more stuff than that, of course. We're going to go also look at some of these. I found this Russian video of this Russian guy in the woods, who supposedly came upon one of these eggs and actually walked up to it. And it's very interesting. It looks like a giant tit, actually. But we'll look at that. But he said the other grifter, he's another UFO kind of grifter. I think he leans more towards the Greer side. I don't know. As we start to figure out where these people will land in the whole world of imagitainment. He said that Jake may still be working for the military industrial complex. What a surprise. What a surprise. It'd be an important piece of the puzzle if we were to find out that's true, as they are manufacturing this threat maybe to get more money for more stuff. I don't know. Is it a cover story? Is it a manufacturing for funds operation? I don't know that these things are going to fly here in this day and age, because we got too much truth coming out. We got too many people who are ready to expose the bullshit. And if it's bullshit, then it will be exposed. Suzanne, what's up, Suzanne? How you doing? How's it going up there in Canada? Hope you guys are doing well. What's new in Canada, Suzanne? Suzanne, did I hear you have a Discord and you haven't invited me to it yet? What's going on with that? Is there some reason myself and Shelly aren't invited to your Discord? What's going on? What's going on? I'm sure you have a good reason. Doesn't matter. I'm just giving you a hard time. But anyways, who else we got here? Okay, good. What else we got here? Well, nobody's answered my question yet. How's everything going? Anything interesting? What's on your mind today? Yeah, it's Slack. Yeah, it's Slack. It's Slack. It's Slack. You're dancing. All right. Dance. You know I do. You know I do. The song, the Mambo Italiano, Rosemary Clooney, one of my faves. Dance the night away. We're dancing. Is the dancing the theme tonight, guys? Is the dancing theme? Let's talk about dancing. Let's talk about the mambo, the mambo, the mambo, mambo. All right. She starts. I don't know how to invite people to your Discord. Oh man, well somehow Heidi got in there. All right. Well, let's see. T-Rex, are you still around? What's the new one, dude? What's the new one? Cool Gamer, what's going on with you, man? How you doing? How's it going in your part of the world? Aren't you ever in Germany? Don't you guys have a big election coming up or something like that? Am I right? Cool Gamer, are you in Germany? Cool Gamer, it's hard for me to get him to respond sometimes. But I really try. I try to get him to talk with me. Talk to me, man. Talk to me. There's Wolfram. He's having a good time out there. He's laughing. He mispronounces Italian words just to drive me insane. Oh, mamma mia. Mamma mia. Hey, there's Snipe over on the Rumble side. Yeah, and there's another great new person that we've met because you guys in Rumble make it happen by hitting the thumbs up and making sure people know that we're live out there, Rumble land. Like I said, it make it harder as time goes on, without a lot of crowd support over there, and helping get in each and every one of those these streams popularized. Because like I said, I'm not going to be jumping on the bandwagon with the Rumble partnership program. Now here's what I'm talking about. They launched the new dashboard over on Rumble, right? And in that dashboard, when you click into it, it says to you, join our partner program. All you have to do is this, right? So you have to stream 30 hours in Rumble Studio, something like that. You have to be a paid Rumble verified, which I am. But Rumble verified, it's like $11 a month. You got to do that, and then you got to do 5 hours of streaming just to premium subscribers, like verified subscribers, people that are paying for not having ads. Those people, and you got to do that. And then I guess if you do that, then they'll do something for you, but they don't tell you what it is they're going to do for you. That's the other thing too. I'm like, well, where are the benefits? Where's the come on, sell me on it. But there's nothing that says, well, you'll get this much money and you'll do this and do that. If you sell me on it, maybe I'll find a way to make it work. But I mean, the problem with their studio is you don't have any it's very like, it would be like from going to I hate to see it, Cadillac. Let me see. Let's say a high-end SUV, right? Which is probably StreamYards is like, kind of like that a little bit. And then go from that to like a 1976 VW Bug, one of those little Hitler mobiles, to like a Herbie Goes Bananas kind of thing. And it really is this clunky and weird, and you only have 5 scenes. Like I can do all this stuff like this, right? I can go all the way around here. These are all the different scenes they get. Well, these are the ones that I only work on how the people in, but I can go all over the place, right? I got all this. I got a lot of things I can do over here, right? And even like for my that's odd. All right, my audiobook right here. See, so when I'm doing that, I'm doing this. We're doing old school Watch Party Sundays. I don't know why I made this one. This one's weird too. I never use it. But anyways, I can be all over the place. And you can't do that over there. You got like 4 screens and they're all weird. So you don't have any flexibility. You can't play intro videos as well. I mean, you can, but it's kind of like going back to before StreamYards gave you the opportunity to actually schedule your intro videos before you schedule your intro videos, and you kind of just lock them in, and then when you hit start stream, they play, which is okay. I mean, it works pretty good. I'm okay with doing it myself. I guess that's not that big of a deal. But all in all, I guess you give the opportunity to do like those midstream ad reads, which is cool because I guess you make money when you have a lot of people in the stream watching it. And that's fine too. But there's going to be some people that just game the hell out of that, right? They'll sit on their stream all day long, stream ads and and it's like they're going to game it. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea in a way, but I think what you need to do, Rumble, is work on your studio app first before you start trying to persuade people to abandon their current setup for you. Like you need to be comparable to StreamYards. You really do. Or Streamlabs even. I mean, I don't know. I don't use Streamlabs. I use StreamYards. But be comparable to the best that are out there because right now you're not. Right now, nobody has a lot of good things to say about the Rumble Studio. So that's my thing about that. Judge Maddie, what's up? What's up, Judge Maddie? How you doing? Good, good. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Saying hello to everybody. Where's your sliding in? There you go. Oh, good entrance. Good entrance. Yeah, you gotta have a good entrance and a good exit, man. Always have this. Some people are good at one, but not the other. But if you can be good at both, you're kicking ass and taking names. Okay, is that new? I don't know. That doesn't answer my question, T-Rex, but that's okay. You take it easy, buddy. You take it easy. I'm not going to put any pressure on you to be clear about what you're saying. All right, no worries, no worries. All right, cool, guys. Cool. Let's go. And since T-Rex is here, we know what he does so well for us on Winning Saturday Night. He does one thing really great. And well, he does a couple really great. He does many things really great. But one thing he does really great for us here on Winning Saturday Night is he does a great job at singing us into our first segment.
Yeah, we're here to spread the word, bringing joy and love to each and every nerve. Positive vibes, that's what we're all about. Gonna lift you up when you're feeling down. Every day we're gonna make it bright. Good news coming your way. You're gonna smile no matter the day. Good news, turning it around in this crazy world. It's the good news of the week. Oh.
A typical rush hour in Canada took an unusual turn when a crowd of strangers ended up lying on the freezing ground together in their work clothes, all because of one little orange cat. Last week, a woman was taking the Toronto streetcar home after a vet visit with her cat, but when she hopped off at her stop, her cat managed to escape her carrier and ran directly underneath the streetcar in fear. As the doors closed and the vehicle was about to start moving again, the woman started frantically pounding on the streetcar's windows. Luckily, those on board noticed what was happening and notified the driver, who immediately put the streetcar in out of service mode. What followed was a 20-minute rescue mission that had strangers dropping to the ground in the middle of a 14-degree day without hesitation.
All
Commuters
Canada.
and passersby started running to nearby stores, returning with shawarma, treats, and anything they thought might lure the scared cat to safety. When food didn't work, the group got creative, taping tools together to extend their reach.
Look
while
at this.
others
Human
directed
beings helping
traffic
each other
around the growing
to help a
crowd.
cat.
Finally, one quick-thinking rescuer managed to safely grab the cat and put her in her carrier. The incredibly grateful owner immediately started hugging all of the volunteers and apologizing profusely for inconveniencing them. But the consensus among the crowd was clear. They all firmly believed that becoming an impromptu cat rescue squad was one thing that was absolutely worth being a little late for.
Well, that's
This
some good
kitten
news.
hiding away in the dangerous mechanics of a semi-truck might have never been found if the driver hadn't made one little mistake on his last stop of the day. Truck
Aw.
driver Fitz had just made his last delivery of a 12-hour shift. He was back behind the wheel, ready to drive away when he realized that he had left his dolly in the store. As he walked back to grab it, he heard what sounded like meowing coming from somewhere in his truck. After searching everywhere and finding nothing, he was about to give up when a tiny face
Look at
finally
that.
peeked out from behind the
Aw.
truck's suspension coils, a spot that compresses when the truck goes over bumps. Fitz, who had never had a pet before, ran to buy some cat treats to coax the kitty out. While she was scared at first, she seemed to quickly realize that he was there to help, and she crawled right into his arms. Fitz took her to a hotel for the night and gave her a bath to clean off all the truck grease. And realizing that he'd already become
Aw.
pretty attached to her, he went ahead and named her Mickey. At the vet the next day, she
Nice.
kept fighting to stay in Fitz's arms. And to everyone's surprise, she was perfectly healthy despite her dangerous adventure. These days, Mickey travels the country with her new human, who says that she's the one thing in his life that he didn't know he needed until she fell in his lap. As Fitz
That's
puts
awesome.
it was the cat distribution system, and he was just chosen.
Something was trapped in a storm drain in Brazil,
news.
and when the fire department arrived to pry it open, they found a very polite capybara patiently waiting for assistance. Nobody knows how
Capybara.
this large rodent found himself in such a
Look at
pickle,
that.
but luckily a passerby had noticed him barking and called for help. It did take a bit of work to get the storm drain cover removed, and once it was off, the capybara really didn't want to bother anyone further, but he did end up needing a little
Look how
bit of
big
help
he
from the
is.
firefighters to get out. Luckily, he was in good health and he was able to return to his habitat with all of his friends. And while it is uncommon for capybaras to find themselves in storm drains, they are very common above ground in the area. And while some are more shy, they're known in general for making friends with just about any other animal. Generally accept anyone into their circle as long as they don't feel threatened, like this orange cappy cat who lives with a herd of capybaras at Zoo Negara in Malaysia. They're also quite smart, and those that live in more populated areas have even been observed using crosswalks to cross roads.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, guys. That is a lead-off story always on Good News of the Week. We like to bring in the Good News Girl. She's called the Good News Girl, and she gives us 3 good news stories about awesome human-animal interactions and heartwarming stories to kick off our weekend night, our Saturday night all together. And everybody loves it, don't they? They all love it. They all love it. All right, guys. Here's the big news. Here's the big good news story of the week. How long has this been going on? No, actually, it's been going on too long, and that's the problem. The problem is that the hands up are can't breathe, whatever Marxist opportunistic slogan they've been using since George Floyd and that whole debacle. Now, that was the base people out there. We were able to debunk this pretty quickly, right? We kind of knew that this wasn't what was going on, because if you followed the body cam footage, which a lot of people did that were following the story, you can tell that he was using this can't breathe line well long before he was ever put on the ground, right? So it didn't make any sense. But of course, Marxist establishmentarian, useful idiots, and others never let a crisis go to waste to further their agendas. And what came out of this agenda was all kinds of horrible, divisive things, including some very, very, just, you had a picture up there, you had statues, you had holidays, you had commemorations, you had the corrupt establishment bending the knee and kissing his ass, and long after he passed, saying that this is fault. They called for defunding the police. It threw police officers in jail that were involved with the arrest. All in all, knowing full well it was a giant work, right? And even when further body cam footage came out showing the speedball of fentanyl in his mouth as he's chewing it up. You can clearly see it. After he was being arrested for counterfeiting, we come to find out this criminal was glorified and uses an extremely divisive tool to further drive this country apart and to put us into a manufactured type race war, which is extremely unfair to children and, of course, to adults and to everybody. We can never have a harmonious society in the middle of a race war, which we don't deserve to have, because if any country on earth has tried its best to put an end to such things, it's been this country. And despite what Marxists will tell you and try to indoctrinate you into, that is the truth. So good news coming out this week, and this very, very epic, I'll say one of the best videos I've seen put out by a real role model leadership in the Black community person, Greg Foreman. And he doesn't set out to be it. He's just being himself, but he does it through his example. He leads by example, and he does a great job. So I wanted to highlight his work up front and tonight with this stellar video that I'm building up for a very good reason, because it's really good. I think you guys will all appreciate this and appreciate where he goes with it. And like I said, I like to highlight it when I can. And let's just enjoy the fact that this hoax is coming to an end, and let's be aware of it and hope that and make our voices heard where it needs to be, Twitter or whatever, or social media, adding a comment here, adding a chat there, whatever, to make sure that all the damage this narrative has caused gets undone. Then we can have things set right again. But check it out. Here we go.
This police officer was handed a nearly 5-year prison sentence for his role in the murder of George Floyd.
Tutau is the fourth and final.
Listen to that. Even the way that this guy frames it, even I'll put it up front for a reason, because I'm probably going to stop a few times and have something to say. Even the way this guy frames it, still, right? The murder of George Floyd wasn't a murder. It wasn't. But that's the way they've been framing it. Sitting there with that smug look on his face, calling it that. That in itself sets a narrative, sets an archetype, sets a frame, that entraps people's minds.
Officer to be sentenced in state court in Floyd's death. His sentence is the longest of the officers found guilty of aiding Derek Chauvin, the man convicted with Floyd's murder.
Look at that
Renee
guy.
Cooper
He's so
was in the
happy
Hennepin
about
County
it.
courtroom today. Renee.
His daughter.
Today's sentence bookends a 3-year criminal case in the George Floyd's murder. Judge Peter Cahill expressing disappointment in Tutau as he delivers his sentence to the former police officer.
To be perfectly honest, after 3 years of reflection, I was hoping for a little more remorse, regret.
These people, man. Don't worry, it's not ending on a good note.
Responsibility.
After prosecutors requested a sentence of 51 months, Judge Peter Cahill going a step further, handing down former officer Tutau a 57-month sentence.
Oh man, this guys, this buildup is happening for a reason. Okay, this guy right here should lose his job. He should be thrown off the bench, have his law license stripped or whatever the frick gives him the power to be where he is. He's not a worthy judge, but you're going to see why here. And it just gets better and better.
My belief that a sentence at the top of the range.
He added to the guy's
Tutau taking the stand, maintained his innocence. Now 3 months after he was convicted.
Judge, I know prior I said that I couldn't take a plea deal because I didn't want to sin.
The former officer using the majority of his roughly 20-minute testimony to quote from the Bible.
This leaves man spiritually dead.
George Floyd's life was snuffed out by these officers.
What, this woman couldn't bother to get her hair done before she showed up to court? I mean, what? You couldn't bother just to get your hair done? Sorry, bright light here. Greg used the bright light. Look, hold on. All right. Watch this.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about a pretty bombshell news story involving George Floyd. Yes, we have to revisit that situation because it seems like the narrative around George Floyd, the story that basically caused more violence and destruction in this country than we've ever seen before, ever. It seems like the narrative around this story was a big old lie. Okay. The narrative around how George Floyd died and the narrative around the officers who were involved. Again, all of that apparently is a lie. And that is detailed in this article right here on Alpha News that talks about a deposition and some court documents that have been exposed in light of this deposition in relation to a lawsuit filed by Miss Amy Sweezy, who was one of the office's top prosecutors in Hennepin County, right? The same county that charged Derek Chauvin, okay, and the 3 other former Minneapolis police officers in the death of George Floyd. She was suing former county attorney Mike Freeman because Sweezy claims Freeman engaged in sex discrimination and retaliation in the office. Now, all of this began when attorneys from this office, for example, attorney Patrick Lofton and Sweezy herself, ended up resigning from the case. Okay, they withdrew from the case involving Derek Chauvin and the 3 officers for ethical reasons. Basically, they were under pressure by Mr. Freeman, county attorney Mr. Freeman, to file charges against the officers, even though they didn't feel like the officers should have had charges filed against them in relation to what happened with George Floyd. However, they were put under extreme pressure to do so for political reasons. And this is basically proved and detailed in this article based off these court documents. And I'm going to go ahead and read a summary here from Charlie Kirk so you guys kind of understand exactly what happened here in an efficient way. And then I'm going to play a video from Tucker Carlson in which he's going to talk about this whole situation. Because again, this right here basically proves that the whole George Floyd narrative was a lie and that people looted, rioted, and destroyed cities based off a lie. So let's read here. New court documents show that Minneapolis prosecutors strongly opposed charging the 3 other cops who were with Derek Chauvin when George Floyd died. Several of those prosecutors withdrew from the case over, quote, professional and ethical objections. When told there was no valid case against the officers, Hennepin County attorney Mike Freeman screamed that his prosecutors were effing this up. Freeman blamed them for ruining his chance at political stardom and later retaliated against the prosecutors. Then the Minnesota Attorney General, radical Marxist Keith Ellison, stepped in to charge the officers. The case against J. Alexandra Kuhn, Thomas Kernan Lane, and Tao Thao was political from the beginning, bought to appease a streaking criminal mob rather than to achieve justice. All 3 of them should be released immediately. Not only that, but Hennepin County's medical examiner said there were no medical indications of an asphyxia or strangulation. In other words, Chauvin's knee did nothing to kill George Floyd. From the beginning, everything you were told in 2020 was a lie. Yeah, so I'm going to link to this article in the description, and you guys can read the article for yourself and come to your own conclusion about what you want to believe. But I want to react to this video here from Tucker Carlson, in which he's going to talk about this situation, because I believe that, again, Tucker's commentary here is compelling and important. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, BioTrust. Excess belly fat has been deemed the most dangerous type of fat because it could be time to revisit some of the other slogans we've been assured are true and ordered to repeat. Are they? Sales out. It could be time to revisit some of the other slogans we've been assured are true and ordered to repeat. Are they in fact true? Did, for example, a racist white cop actually murder a man called George Floyd, a civil rights leader, in Minneapolis on Memorial Day of 2020? Now, we've been told that happened, told it relentlessly for more than 3 years.
Jug of water.
So this one, we've been told it so much that pretty much everybody seems to believe it. And because everyone does kind of believe it, a small group of people has been allowed to make massive changes to American society. They include, but are not limited to, decriminalizing stealing, defunding the police, adding a new federal holiday to the calendar called Juneteenth, the ceasing of hiring all white men in corporate America, and of course, significantly, they also sent a cop called Derek Chauvin to prison for more than 40 years. He would be the racist white devil who murdered George Floyd. But the question is, did he actually murder George Floyd? And the answer is, well, no, he didn't murder George Floyd. And we're not guessing about that. We know it conclusively, thanks to a new court case now underway in Hennepin County, Minnesota. The case was brought by a prosecutor there called Amy Sweezy. She's suing her boss. So the case is not actually about George Floyd or Derek Chauvin, but it tells you an awful lot about both of them. In her deposition, which you should read, Amy Sweezy describes a conversation that she had with the county medical examiner, Andrew Baker, right after George Floyd died. Quote, I called Dr. Baker early that morning to tell him about the case and to ask him if he would perform the autopsy on Mr. Floyd. Sweezy recalls all this under oath in the deposition. Quote, he called me later in the day on that Tuesday, and he told me that there were no medical findings that showed any injury to the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation. Oh.
Yep. Yeah, this is still a thing. This should be national news. Everybody should be talking about this. You know, it's like as much as we've been put through over this thing, all these men should be immediately released and given their jobs back and given financial remedy for their time lost. I mean, this is inexcusable. It's completely corrupt, and it needs to be undone as fast as possible. And we need to always remember and learn from this. And it should be hence known the George Floyd hoax.
Oh. In other words, George Floyd, according to the official autopsy, was not murdered. He died
Drug addict, criminal, George Floyd.
instead of what we used to call natural causes, which in his case would include decades of drug use, as well as the fatal concentration of fentanyl that was in his system on his final day.
Duh, right?
Yeah, again, and you were called a right-wing white supremacist conspiracy theorist if that's what you thought, right? But again, that's why I never thought it was a controversial thing for people to say, hey, you know, I don't think that Derek Chauvin is guilty, right? I definitely understand people who don't think that Derek Chauvin is guilty because the evidence that
but Blue Lantern, just to push back a little bit on that, the cops didn't know that was what was going on with him. You know, he had a history of resisting arrest. It's all that, I mean, they knew that. They knew he had a history of it. They knew he had a history of lying. They knew that he was a criminal, but they didn't know he was dying from an overdose. And I don't think that he was being abused by holding him down. Now I would agree that, you know, if you cuff him and he's on the ground and you got him surrounded, you know, you can, I don't know that you need to lean on him that much, but honestly, if that's procedure and that's what he's told to do, he's just following the procedure at that point. That's not on him. And to have 40 years taken from him, to have him convicted of 40 years and be made a martyr over this thing, over when they knew for a fact that he did not die from what they said he died from. You know, I don't think that that's, and why I agree with your premise that, you know, cops shouldn't abuse people, period. That's my premise on that. I don't think that was what was going on with Chauvin. They painted him as a racist and all these other things, and it just wasn't. You know, it's like they say that because of the situation. So it's like circular logic, right? Circular logic is that because a black, okay, so let's just use the situation at hand. Because a black man died in front of you, and you were in the midst of doing your job, which included restraining him, then therefore you're racist, right? So that's the way they came to the conclusion that he was racist, because he was a cop. That's the Marxist narratives to divide and to make people not want to be police. So they have more lawlessness, less law and order, and they can defund the police, whatever. They can build their narrative off it. And that's what we've been dealing with since the Obama days, really. You know, it's something we have to get rid of. You went around back when I did my Repairing History original series, where I went through all this stuff about how one thing we have to heal is division in this country, because it empowers the cycle of control. It's part of the cycle of abuse, and that we shouldn't have a racially divided country, right? And that all of these tactics are they're put in for a reason. They're put in to empower the worst amongst us, and that the race baiters are the real racists in this country. What Thomas Sowell history helps us repair that history and helps keep people based in the truth about it. And I don't, without going on a big Repairing History Together rant, I'll just say, you know, my original series, where it was just me going through all the Thomas Sowell videos and talking about it. That's a good watch if you're into the topic, right? I know you're not trying to defend Floyd. Yeah, the police procedure itself, perhaps that needs some refinement. But again, 40, I'm just saying 40 years over a hoax is, you know, and the hoax got other people killed. You know, it isn't just George Floyd. It got people hurt, got them beat up. It empowered mob mentality, and empowered gang mentality, and empowered Marxist mentality, and empowered corrupt Democrat policy and agenda, and, you know, it empowered a lot of nasty shit. That's the point that I'm making. So I'm sure we're on the same page. But I just say, you know, I don't think that the Chauvin knew the guy was dying. And even if he was, he couldn't have done anything about it. And I don't think he was abusing him by just following the procedure. So that's all I'm saying. That's just the way I'm reading the text too. I'm sure, you know, spoken together, it might come across different. But, you know, thanks for adding to the conversation.
George Floyd actually died as a result of the knee on his neck. I don't think it was compelling. I think at most they might have got him with a manslaughter charge, right? At most. But the second degree murder, I mean, I think anybody that's looking at this objectively can see that this was politically motivated, and that he should not have been found guilty of that charge, right? He should not have been found guilty.
No.
So I mean, it's
The
almost like
jurors
he's a sacrificial lamb,
were
right? And this
lost
is
into it.
an injustice, so to speak. I mean, again, we're all the woke revolutionaries that are against this type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or are they only against it when it happens to people of a certain skin color? Hey, not white people. That's the only time they care about injustice in the criminal justice system, because that's what the whole George Floyd thing, that's what all this stuff is about. Black Lives Matter, all this stuff is about injustices in the criminal justice system. But when you have an obvious injustice, especially when it comes to those other 3 officers, obvious injustice, these men are doing prison time.
Yeah.
They're silent.
They're missing their,
even though they're doing prison time
lives.
simply because, well, they didn't step in and protect George Floyd's civil rights. They didn't know that the dude was dying. How could they know? For all they know that, their leader, Derek Chauvin, he was doing what the department teaches them to do. So, I mean,
that's how I say, like Greg Foreman and I, he's like my brother from another mother. We share a brain sometimes. He's just better spoken than I am. But and he's got he's got a great channel. But we come to a lot of the same conclusions and a lot of the same logical. He's probably a really logical guy, in person, to get to know him and whatnot. But we tend to always land in the same spot, which is really cool. But I dig his stuff. So if you guys aren't, make sure you're subscribed to Black Conservative Perspective. Of course, I show him here all the time. So if you're not, you can always you'll probably see him here anyways. But I like his takes, man. He's really spot on, and he's got a great voice out there, and he's doing good stuff.
It sucks because the results of this are what we see currently happening in this country: the violence and destruction, defund the police, the fact that nobody wants to be a police officer. Police officers have been resigning en masse because of what happened after George Floyd, because of the fact that they saw, well, if you send this guy to jail for, doing something that you could argue was his job, and it just so happened that George Floyd died because, he may have had a cocktail of narcotics in his system.
Yeah.
And the police officer is going to do 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are not going to sign up to be a part of this.
That's
profession.
injustice.
And that's why you're saying big cities struggle to recruit police. That's why we have a policing shortage.
That was the point.
So this was not a killing. It was yet another narcotics OD in a country that records more than 100,000 of them every year. The medical examiner clearly understood that and, in fact, articulated it. And Sweezy explains. He said to me, she recalls in the deposition, Amy, what happens when the actual evidence doesn't match up with the public narrative that everyone's already decided on? And then he said, quote, this is the kind of case that ends careers.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you don't get on board with it, our career is done, right? You got to get on board with it. You have to get on board with politically motivating these people, okay, making them political victims, or else our career is done, because the woke revolutionaries aren't going to stop committing acts of violence. They're going to destroy everything if we don't prosecute and charge these officers. That's not justice. That's mob justice.
In other words, everyone lied about it from the very beginning. The people who knew the truth hid the truth and allowed the revolution to proceed. Now they've been exposed. Now we know the truth. What happens next?
They need to get cashed in on.
They're going to ignore it. The Biden administration just issued a long purple statement celebrating George Floyd's birthday. He's a martyr, despite the fact we know that he was not murdered. And by the way, Derek Chauvin is still languishing in jail for the rest of his life. So how do we respond to this? How do we respond to the truth once we have it? Well, Vince Everett Ellison seemed like a good man to ask. He's the author of Crime
This
Inc.
guy,
he joins us now.
This guy right here is about to lay up the room, guys. Listen to what he's about to say. This dude right here, I've never seen him before, but this guy is about to light the room up.
Vince, thanks so much for coming on. So, as with so many other stories, the origin of COVID, it's a blessing to have you. We now know what actually happened, but the question then is, what do you do with that knowledge? What do we do with the knowledge that George Floyd was not actually strangled to death by a cop?
We have to acknowledge the people that gave it to us and why. See, George Floyd is the Democratic Party's prototypical black man. These are the black men they are trying to create. So George Floyd has to be elevated. He has to be celebrated. He's perfect to them. He was poor. He was uneducated. He was a drug addict. He didn't have a job. He was down there begging and crying and asking the white people to not kill him. To a Democrat, to a white Democrat, this is the perfect black man. So he has to be elevated. Look, not a few days ago, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden celebrated hip hop music. They had a celebration of hip hop.
Hip hop culture is America's culture. It is a genre. It is music and melody and rhyme. And hip hop is also an ethos.
A music genre that calls the black man the N-word, calls women the W word and the B word, talks about misogyny, shooting police, smoking dope, selling dope, fighting, killing, acting a fool. They celebrated this genre. Why? Because this is how they see Black America. They see us the same way they see George Floyd. And they have to make more of us because everywhere they rule, you know, John F. Kennedy stood in front of the Berlin Wall in the 60s and said, if you think that communism is great, let them come to Berlin. Well, if you think that the Democratic Party is great, let them come to Detroit. Let them come to Chicago. Let them come to St. Louis. Let them come to LA, Portland, Seattle, Memphis. Anywhere where they rule, you'll see George Floyd all over the place. And they're proud of them. In Baltimore, Maryland, they spend $21,000 per child for every child up there inside the school district. Not one school is proficient in math, science, or reading. But they keep it going every year. Why? Because they're producing George Floyds.
Facts. And George Floyd's vote Democrat. Right? They vote Democrat. This is why Democrats are so big on getting everybody to vote, right? Just go vote.
Yeah, because you Democrats, they pander to the oppressor narrative of Marxism. So this is what people say. Well, we're not Marxist, we're not socialist, we're not communist, whatever. But you're culturally Marxist, right? You use the same methodologies, the same subversive tactics. You succeed under abuse of others, mind control, things of that nature, right? And that's underlying the unseen filthy film on their skin is Marxism, and that we go to the root here, man. And so when you get to the bottom of the rabbit hole and all this shit that's going on, you find this nasty mind virus, and that's it. Now, it doesn't mean that the Soviet Union is trying to creep into the United States. You got to get the archetypes off. You got to erase those old archetypes you learned in high school, and you got to realize everything modernizes, everything optimizes, right? So that's what it is. But they're still using the tactics for the means to an end. The authoritarian mindset that people are property, that you should dominate and control those that are beneath you, and then that take one step back, and you realize that energy is that intention, right? Those ideas come from a place of evil, right? And so you realize at the base end of that whole thing, evil to authoritarianism to methodologies to proprietors, right, to methodologies. And that's the veils of perception that we talk about in Unveiling Reality that I've put together. That's my takes on it. That's how I've learned how to define the world and see how these people have managed to rule over us generation after generation after generation, which has now come to the point where it's affected how we live to an absurd degree, where people that are my age, Gen Xers and before, and even a little bit of the millennials, remember a time of freedom that isn't realized today. It's not the same world, and that sucks. And we see how it affects our kids and how it could affect our future generations. And we're here to do something about it. So if you feel the same way and you want to join a group of people that are of like-mindedness and have the same ambitions and want to make the world a better place, you're in the right place. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share the video. Tell people about it that are like you, because out in this crowd right now, all these awesome people right here are base as hell, and they get you. So come on in and hang out. All right, let's get back to it.
All right, just go vote, because they know that there's an excess of dummies in this country who are just going to vote Democrat because Democrats get people to vote based off emotion, not facts, not logic, not reasoning, not reality.
You're
emotion,
oppressed,
right? Race, sex, gender. This is why they're so big on identity politics, because identity politics is for dummies. Okay. So what happens is that if you encourage dummies to vote, they're going to vote Democrat by default because they're voting with their emotions. They're not voting from a place of knowledge or any type of rational thinking or logic. And the dumber that you keep kids, the easier it is to keep them dependent on the government and to keep them dependent on the Democrat Party. Right? This is how you continue.
Cycle of abuse, man. Greg's calling it out. It's the cycle. He's going to say it again. He doesn't even know me yet, right? We'll probably meet one day. Who knows? He doesn't even know me yet. But he is reaching the same logical conclusions I am. That's why I know he's a really logical driven guy, because he is he's finding those places, and he's starting, you can see it right here in his statements. He's starting to see the cycle. He's starting to understand the cycle better.
Continue to push more socialist policies where the only solution is the government, right? Government needs to step in, right? The government needs to step in and help.
Yep.
Well, the reason why is because, again, you are creating kids in school that don't understand anything. They don't have any job skills. They don't know anything.
Abused.
And because they don't know anything, they have to be dependent, right? They can't get a better job than McDonald's because they don't have any job skills.
Yep.
So this is why we'll make you pay $15 an hour to these workers, right? $20 an hour. And then what happens? Inflation goes up because the cost of labor goes up, prices goes up, everybody pays more. And then eventually these workers get replaced by robots. That's what happens. And these people are going to go vote Democrat because once these people become unemployed and displaced, they're going to depend on the system. They're going to be, dependent on the government tea. And that's the cycle.
Yep, the cycle of abuse, man. And not only that, but that creates an entirely new generation of demoralized, useful idiots. You see, that's the other outcome there, is that the cycle of abuse primes the next generation. They corrupt them, they break them when they're young, they demoralize them, and then they grow up to be demoralized, broken people that are easily steered into criminal activities, elitist mindset, abuse of other people, and the cycle continues. Meanwhile, up on the hill behind big stone gates with guards lie the elitists that are bleeding us dry, that are laundering money, that are stealing every ounce of energy and life out of us, and that are suppressing and ruining the quality of our lives and our experience here. And that's abuse, and that is not tolerated. And that's where that's where the fight really is, right? And they're just creating corruption to manufacture consent down the road. They know the process. That's why I harp on the fact that this is a generational war, and we have to take a generational approach to fixing it. Root cause solutions must be generationally based. And that's the point where what I'm doing here needs to get to the next level, and reach more people. And the time will come when it's right. It'll come. And it won't just be me. Like, I'm not sitting here like I got every answer, or that I'm going to be the guy, right? In fact, I'm probably not going to be the guy, and I know I don't have every answer. The truth of the matter is, it's the mindset as it grows, right? It's an idea. It's bulletproof. It's ageless. It's winning reality from people who are trying to win it from us, trying to steal it from us, trying to make us lose ours and adopt theirs, right? And like minds will grow, right? That will grow. The idea it's not just here. It's not just sitting on my head, right? It's in many people's minds and hearts right now. And it's finding a way to activate them and put them out in front and spread the idea. So as time goes on, I fully expect to hear more people speaking similarly to myself and having the similar perception and having similar solutions. I absolutely do. And then, like I said, I'm just part of it. I just follow the circle. I'm a servant to the idea, and which is a great idea. One you should subscribe to, and ring the bell so you make sure you know when I go live. I'm going live, it seems like every night. Pretty close. But I mean, come on, night 7. Might be night 7. And I appreciate everybody that comes here every night. I really do. I don't know. I really do. I want to add value to your experience, man. I really try to provide value. It's not just me sitting up here trying to find a way to get you to sit and watch me for an hour so I get something out of it, right? It's not me trying to push anything. It's not me trying to, like I said, I don't get up here and just piss in your ears, man. I bring you stuff that hopefully helps you out and hopefully inspires you and makes you feel like you got a place where you got like-minded folks to hang out with, and we are growing, man. We are growing, and more people are getting here, and I appreciate it. We got an awesome crowd, but I go on and on. The point is this: is that over the course of time, maybe over the course of the next 4 years or so, more and more people will start to feel the inspiration of the idea, right, and of solution culture, and they'll start to come to the understanding that we're under a generational warfare model, and that we have to. We can win without having to ever become what we fight. We can win by simply removing the enablement for the corruption. And we do that by breaking the cycle of abuse that breaks the cycle of control. And what solution culture does is it replaces those cycles with healthy cycles. Like, instead of the cycle of abuse, we got the cycle of care, right? So that's replaced. It's overriding it, right? Instead of the cycle of control, we have the cycle of freedom. And these are the things that are going to be replacing the third and fourth veils, as we know. We call them here on the show and on the channel. We know them as the cycle of control and the cycle of abuse, the third and the fourth veils, right? These are the veils that people that are kneeled down to the establishment narrative don't get. They don't see it. They can't see it because they're veiled from them, right? They can't even see into the world of the alternative narratives. And people that are stuck in the world of the alternative narratives, they don't see the true things that are going on either. They're too busy down in the abyss trying to look for things that aren't there, right? Trying to wait for the UFOs to come save them or something like that, right? Yeah, that's another cycle of abuse. That's another part of it. But anyways, just to kind of play off this, let's get back to the video so I can move on. But anyways, that's what it's about. If you're new here, you haven't heard this part of it yet, that's where you're at. And if you're here, you're awake, aware, and resisting, you're part of the anti-establishment, and you are a part of the solution. Thank you for being here.
That's the cycle. A stupid person is a dependent person, and that's the Democrat strategy.
But
George Floyd voted for the Democrat Party.
But why would when most of us, you, me, I think all normal people look at George Floyd's life, you think this is a disaster. This guy never added anything. He took a lot in prison at least 8 times. I mean, his life was a tragedy at best. Why would you want more people like that?
Because he votes for the Democrat Party, and then he teaches his children to vote for the Democrat Party, and then these white Democrats can feel superior to him. Yeah. He can be controlled by them. Just like, think about an old slave plantation back in the day, how they wanted their slaves to act: subservient, obedient, ignorant, doing what he was told, not asking any questions, having a slave mind, being dependent on them. This is how they want black men to be in America. This is how they want the whole black community to be. This is why it started in the Civil Rights Movement when Martin Luther King Jr. in his Iowa Green speech said, 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Negro is still not free. He said 5 times in that speech that we were not free. It turned the Declaration of Independence on its head, because in our Declaration of Independence, it said that our freedom was an unalienable right given us by God. John Locke, in his second treatise of government, said that an unalienable right is a right given from God. It is irrevocable, non-transferable, and unsellable. The government cannot touch it. It supersedes law. It supersedes the Constitution. However, King said that we was coming to government and to the white man for our right to be free. Even at the end of the speech, he said, on some certain day, we'll be free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. He said in that speech, when will we be satisfied? He said, we will never be satisfied until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. That's a fancy way of saying never. And so black people heard that speech and said that we were not free in America. And we make our children recite that speech every single year on King's birthday. And they say in that speech, the Negro is still not free. George Floyd was a slave in his mind. And the Civil Rights Movement caused him to be a slave in his mind. And today they're still marching 60 years later, telling black people, you're not free. Beg for reparations, beg for affirmative action, kill your children in the womb, cut off your child, you castrate your children, let drag queens come into school and shake their behinds in your children's faces, run God out of the public square. And then they end up like George Floyd. But the one thing they do consistently is they vote for the Democrat Party, and the places where George Floyd's live, they stay in absolute power.
Facts.
God, that guy just killed it, didn't he? I mean, dude, was that amazing or what? I mean, absolutely. Who is this dude, and why isn't he more places, man? That's the kind of talk people need to hear to break free the mind control of the Marxist mind control. That's the kind of thing they need to hear. But there are a lot of people out there that black folks out there or whoever would point this guy and call him a sellout, call him all kinds of names, because that's the way the mind control works. They're taught to resist truth, right? But this guy's laying out, as Greg just said, facts. And it's based as hell, right? I mean, look, man, the guy, when you hear the truth, it resonates. When people are down with the truth, they know it when they hear it, right? And yeah, absolutely based, absolutely on fire. And he makes a good point. I never even thought about that part about Martin Luther King's speech, right? About free at last. It just went right over my head. I never thought about the fact that it was still driving home. I thought of it as like a time thing, right? Maybe they didn't feel like they were free then because of Jim Crow or whatever. And that's what they meant. But the reciting of it, and it can be manipulated over time, the reciting of it and the belief in it. And then you play into the oppressor narrative of cultural Marxism, right? Which was, they were looking into that there was a lot of communists and Marxists that were behind the civil rights movement. Right? Not saying that it was a bad thing or anything. Maybe many aspects of it were subverted, and we need to have a new based approach to this stuff. And I think the based approach is throwing it off and realizing that meritocracy, is the way to go. And I think that's what we're hearing from our leadership right now. Meritocracy is going to replace this idea of I don't know what we call it, civil rights, but I want to call it like race-based mindset. The biggest racists out there, the ones who see race in everything. You know, and a lot of those people think they're the most anti-racist people on earth when they're probably the most racist. They see a fire hydrant and they think it's racist, right? They see a leaf on the ground. They say there's some racism underneath that leaf. Like everything they look at, that house, they see a race in it, right? I mean, can you imagine being that crazy over a topic, over a superficial thing, so that everywhere you look, just try to put yourself in this person's shoes. Everywhere you look, you're equating it to some kind of race. Everything and every day in every way. What a fucking maddening existence those people have, and yet they think it's perfectly normal and that they're righteous and virtuous for being that way. That is the sad fact of demoralization and mind control. It is a sad fact of it, and it's a tragedy. It's abusive, and only through a generational approach are we going to wean this stuff off. And it starts today. It starts with us. It starts with mindset and punching back at the bullshit subversion. And that's what this guy's doing so well. So I thought you guys would really dig this. Let's watch the rest of this here real quick.
Boy, I mean, there's nothing else I can say. There's nothing else I can add to that, right?
Patrick Stacey here. Hey,
right.
Patrick, what's up? Good to see you.
He's 100% right. So I'm not gonna play the whole clip. You know, you guys can go check it out. But again, it's a shame that what we're seeing is an injustice in the criminal justice system, and it's unfortunate that it looks like nothing's going to be done about it. I mean, I think that those officers that were, you know, standing by, you know, as Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck, should be released. I don't think they're guilty of anything. I don't think that they should be punished for the bad choices that George Floyd allegedly made. And I think that's a problem. That's a big issue. So again, once again, we have a narrative in which you had people tear down the country, destroy things over something that wasn't even true. It's a damn shame.
It is.
Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, most importantly, share. A black.
All right, thanks, Greg, man. Greg Foreman, y'all. You know, he's one of my favorites. Black Conservative Perspective, phenomenal channel, and you can always find a lot of his stuff here. My channel. That was from. I didn't even realize it, but that was from like a year ago. But anyways, I still thought it was important, so I wanted to play it. So I didn't realize that was a year ago. But man, yeah, kicking ass, taking names. So if I hadn't said anything, you wouldn't have known, right? Anyways, I thought, I started thinking about it. I was like, some of the reports in there seem a little bit old. That's all right. We're having fun. All right. So here is some good news here. We're just hitting the good news of the week right now. Let me see how I want to order this up. I got a few of these, and then we're gonna get into cool things. I got some cool stuff for you tonight, including coming up next, the true meaning of the song "Mother" by Danzig. Yeah, you guys have all heard that song, right? We're gonna figure out what he really meant by it, and the answer is gonna surprise you. It's gonna surprise you. It surprised me. I thought I had it all figured out. but it ain't exactly what you think it is. All right, so okay, so let's do this one next. We got, okay, yeah. You know what? Yeah, let's do this one. Break it up a little bit. And
see a Lancaster teen behind bars tonight.
This is good news for everybody who streams and just in general to make a safer world, because a lot of the hesitation out there's a lot of bad people out there that want to rain on, stop people from doing good things. They want to hurt people when they can't hurt, because they're hurt, right? Hurt people. They want to hurt people. And they can't get to them through their computer, because that's the only place where they're actually, believe they're tough when they're not. So this guy is one of them. He is this dude right here. A man who swatted 375 people, including FBI and Supreme Court, gets prison time. Now, in case you don't know, swatting is when you file a false police report to someone who is to anyone, right? And you say that there's something bad going on, to the point where they have to send the SWAT team in. They're required to send the SWAT team in, and then just come kick the door in, and they have the guns out, and that can lead to a lot of bad things. A lot of people have been killed, and this happens to streamers quite a bit, like Tim Pool, the Quartering, and others. Nick Ricade. I think there's been quite a few people that we knew have had this happen to them. And so very bad people do very bad things. But this kid, evidently a kid, and he is a kid, evidently was getting paid by people to do this. So let's take a look at this, because this guy is he's going to jail for a long time.
Chauncey, a Lancaster teen behind bars tonight. The 17-year-old is accused in hundreds of so-called swatting cases across the country. The Fed saying he may be one of the most active and dangerous swatting suspect, in fact, in U.S. history.
This teen holds the record for 375 swatting calls, and he's about to do 4 years in prison. Let's talk about it.
4 years. 4 years. That's to me, that's 375 attempted murders right there. Hey, Nate, what's up? Nate, the lawyer, y'all. Haven't had him in a while.
This is Alan Filion, now 18. He's from Lancaster, California, and he's known as the, quote, serial swatter. So what exactly is swatting? Well, swatting is defined as the action or practice of making a prank call to emergency services in an attempt to bring about the dispatch of a large number of armed police officers to a particular address. Now, back in August 2022, Filion began making swatting calls at the age of 16.
I'm going to commit a mass shooting in the name of Satan.
Now, Filion started making crazy amount of calls. He became addicted to swatting, and he targeted anything: churches, schools, individuals. He didn't care. But after a year of making these swatting calls, he decided to turn the swatting into a business venture. He called it Swatter for Hire and advertised his services of mass disruption on social media platforms.
The suspect was also selling swatting services: $40 for a gas leak, $75 for a bomb threat or mass shooting. Fake threats that tax law enforcement resources and put real lives in danger.
In his post, he claimed that when he swatted someone, he usually got the police to drag the victim and their families out of the house, cuff them, and search the house for dead bodies. And he was an equal opportunity swatter. Religious institutions, high schools, colleges, universities, government offices, it did not matter. In October 2022, he called a high school in Washington, threatened to commit a mass shooting. In May 2023, he called the HBCU, Historical Black College, and claimed that there were pipe bombs planted along the school. Here's one of the swatting calls he made to a local mosque.
I'm going to commit a mass shooting in the name of Satan.
He's allegedly targeted Washington State, Texas, Florida, and Maryland at times, including hate messages denigrating race, religion, and sexual orientation aimed at mosques and historically black colleges and universities. Court documents even point to Filion swatting FBI facilities and say he was likely to threaten senators and the Supreme Court.
Now, the FBI, Secret Service, and local law enforcement started putting their heads together to figure out who was making all of these swatting calls. Now, Filion was using multiple accounts to do his dirty work, as it shows here in the court documents. Now, Filion used these aliases to claim responsibility for his numerous swatting attacks. And he was also using those same names as usernames to various accounts on social media, like for Telegram, YouTube, and Discord. Now, the big break in the case happened when a private investigator by the name of Brad Dennis infiltrated one of the swatting groups on Telegram and Discord. Now, Dennis was able to get into Filion's online circles and uncovered critical information, including his IP address and several usernames. Now, that information was shared with the FBI, which led to subpoenas issued to Discord and Google. The data obtained from the subpoenas confirmed that the same individual was accessing multiple accounts from a residential IP address in Lancaster, California. Now, with the evidence back from the subpoena, that led to probable cause that allowed the FBI to execute a search warrant on Filion's residence, seizing electronic devices which contained evidence that linked him to many of the swatting incidents. And this led to his arrest on January 18th, 2024.
Chauncey, a Lancaster teen behind bars tonight. The 17-year-old is accused in hundreds of so-called swatting cases across the country. The Fed saying he may be one of the most active and dangerous swatting suspect, in fact, in U.S. history.
A 20-page arrest affidavit for Filion lays out the evidence. Records from a username claiming to be behind multiple swatting attacks, IP addresses, and the search warrant that led to his arrest.
Probable cause exists.
The teen is being held at the jail without bond.
Now, police alleged between August 2022 and January 2024, Filion made over 375 swatting calls. Now, Filion was caught cold. The FBI had all the evidence, and he was looking at probably a life sentence 5 years for every single one of
They do
those
it all on
calls.
Discord.
So he
Jacob
decided
Castro, what's up,
to
my
plead
friend?
guilty.
Prolific teenage serial swatter from California has pleaded guilty to making hundreds of hoax calls about mass shootings and bomb threats to schools, religious institutions, and government officials nationwide. The Department of Justice says 18-year-old Alan Filion pleaded guilty yesterday to 4 counts of making interstate threats. He faces up to 20 years in prison, as each charge carries a 5-year maximum sentence.
Now, remember, when he started this swatting situation, he was only 16. So they charged him as an adult. But the judge took some leniency on him. He was only 16. He was being a dumb kid. So he got 4 years in prison when he was sentenced eventually after pleading guilty to those 4 counts.
A California teenager who pleaded guilty to placing 375 swatting calls across the U.S. has been sentenced to 4 years in prison. One of the calls he made was right here in Florida. In May of 2023, the Seminole County Sheriff's Office says 18-year-old Alan Filion called them, claiming that he was going into a mosque in Sanford with a gun and explosive devices. But it was all a hoax. The sheriff's office worked with the FBI to
makes you wonder who paid this guy. Like, maybe the 4 years is part of a deal to figure out who was sending him money to do these things. Be very interesting to find out who else he was involved with, given some of his usernames.
track the call to Filion's home in California, where he was arrested and charged in Sanford. Now, this week, a federal judge ruled Filion will serve 4 years behind bars. Authorities say that his motivation was to make money and also personal recreation.
Now, in doing research for this video, I was shocked that this serial swatter had actually targeted some YouTubers who I know personally. For instance, Jeremy from The Quartering. I've been on live streams with him, and he was a victim of this swatter. And Tim Pool, who I think everyone knows, was also a victim of this swatter. Check it out.
For the world's most prolific swatter, the man that took money in exchange to terrorize my family, my wife, people like Tim Pool, I believe Mr. Medicare, and as many as 400 people. His sentencing occurred this morning at 8:30 a.m.
You know, it's crazy.
Did that happen?
All right, we never got caught on that.
I'm gonna tell you guys what just happened. I just walked out of the room. The cops walked in. They walked around with flashlights. We've been swatted. I am extremely unhappy with this because I can't necessarily be mad at the officers. They were very polite, but I do not like cops coming into my house when we have mats all over the place. They come back with a warrant.
Yeah.
And I don't know who let them in or why.
Yeah, what happened?
I understand they're here because we got swatted. A report was made that 2 people had been shot and killed, and that the gunman was threatening to hurt themselves. They didn't send a SWAT team. It was just a couple of officers. I don't want to drag them or be mean to them because they were polite. But I'm not happy with the idea that they're walking into our studio while we are live. They're walking around. Cop immediately, I walked out of the room. He immediately came up and said, I'm really, really sorry about this. We're not trying to, screw with you or ruin what you're doing. Here's what happened. We got a call. 2 people had been shot and killed, and a person was going to be killing themselves. We have to check it out, make sure everything's okay. We're going to be doing a sweep once we figure it out. And I'm just like.
Now, here's my question to you people out there in YouTube land. Do you think 4 years is enough? Now, I would say this. If he were older, I would say, let's give him 10 years. But he was 17, 18, 10 years would be about 28. Is it really going to help society to put him behind bars for 10 years? Or is the 5 years or 4 years that he got, is that enough? And I kind of don't believe it is because of the amount of damage this person does. This person was all over.
Let me just say this before Nate gives you his professional lawyer opinion and all. I think it has a lot to do with this mindset. Like, where is his maturity level? Where is it out with this? Because if he can turn over the people who actually were, I don't know, I'll call him enticing because he set up his own business, but who were enabling him, right? And find the people who were paying him to do these things, I think we're going to find some interesting characters, especially the ones that say, mosques and other places like that, churches, aside from the YouTubers, which is still sucks. I mean, but who knows where that money he got paid from came from. If it was just individuals, we kind of default to that, don't we? But now that we know so much about USAID and we know so much about USAID, other money is going to devious and subversive elements, right? I wonder if some of that money trickled down into like people like that to do destabilizing things. I wonder how much of that money came from groups that are like, queer Marxist groups or something like that. I mean, there's anything that causes division, destabilization, harm to others. And there's just some haters out there who may have found them. And maybe this, like I said, what's his mentality? Who can he turn in? Who can he roll over on? That would, to me, that would be shaving off some years. And then of course the reform, right? You're not going to be able to touch a computer, go online, be part of any kind of online community. You put on those kind of restrictions. Here's your one computer line. Here's your one IP address. If we find you with anything else, you go back to jail. Like that would be like probation or something. I think there's ways to work with this and we want to reform people, right? We don't want to institutionalize people. And I as young as he is, there's maybe if his brain is intact and he's not completely lost to evil, there's a way to reform this guy and maybe catch some really, really bad people in the process as well. So that's just my take on it. Let's see what Nate has to say.
Over the country, calling people all over the country. He's in California, calling people in Florida, Oklahoma, Tim Pool's in West Virginia. So this person was a menace nationwide. And I think you make an example out of somebody like that. But I might be too hard on this particular guy. If it was me, I would think I would have been giving him 10 years. But let me know how you feel in the comment section. Tell me, Nate, hey, you're being too hard on this kid. Kids do stupid things, but I don't think you do them 375 times. And I don't think you do it for pay. But hey, I've been wrong before. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe to like great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you in the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get both sides of it, man. I'm just like, I want something more to come out of this, right? Like, I want to see the people who paid him. I want to see that list. And hey, Ozawi, what's up? Good to see you. Over there on the Rumble side, part of our base Rumble community. Thank you so much for being here, Ozawi. Yeah, I just want to see who the hell paid him. I think that, I'll give him some time off for that. And, that'd be all right. And then, reformation, talking to other people, worrying about it, paying back, apologies, things like that. I mean, things like that. You get no remedy for people who go through this. They get no remedy, right? They're this lucky to get out with their lives, but they get no remedy for the time and the anguish and the suffering they have to endure because of this. And that's the thing too. So another list we need to see, right? Wolfram, yeah, another list we need to see. Hey Lex, I see you there. How's it going, dude? You're in your car on the phone, so it's a little hard to type. Don't worry about it. Hey, you be safe, Lex. Don't you try to do anything crazy. We know you're here, and thank you for being here. All right. So I got a little unfinished business here. Speaking of which, I didn't get a chance to do this, but this is a twofer right here. Let's go. Talking Trash and Twos, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. No rush, booby me when you can. Do it for your country. And we just did it. And another $5 super chat. This is the way. And I think you were referring to, well, one was $5 and one was $4.99, but they're both $5 to me. So thank you so much for both of those. And let me see. Okay, that actually counts. All right, cool. That counts towards our goal. We have a goal in there. They have these goals, so why not use them? Why not? All right. Judge Maddie, what's up? I did say hi to you, right? Yeah, I did. Okay, good. All right. So, anyways, good news. That guy seemed to be part of a lot of the problem. It's so funny when you hear about it, you think mass epidemic, but maybe in a lot of cases, it's just one person doing a lot of work, setting up a shop, all that stuff. Like I said, I want to see who paid for it. All right, next story coming up. Okay. I got to skip ahead a little bit just for time's sake here. The main story here. All right. Liberal hive mind. Oh yeah. Umar, what's her name, is having a hard time, isn't she?
Okay, so we already know that Ilhan Omar has been found guilty by the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board for illegally funneling money to her own consulting firm, which she was subsequently forced to have to pay it back. And of course, we know that if a Republican had done that, they'd probably be in handcuffs right now. But because she's a Democrat, the Biden DOJ and the FBI pretended none of it ever even happened. And well, I guess we got more to add to the list. Supposedly, Ilhan Omar is guilty of perjury. Omar testified under oath that she hadn't seen or heard from her ex-husband, which is alleged to be her brother, since 2011. Except Representative Drazkowski has the receipts, and he's calling that a bald-faced lie and accusing Ilhan Omar of having lied under oath.
Another exhibit's in your packet, the question of perjury. This isn't the best copy, but this is Representative Omar's, I'll just call it because it's called Application for an Order for Service by Alternate Means. So as I understand it, Representative Omar approached the court and tried to get the divorce in 2017 from Ahmed Elmi without actually having him there. And in order to do that, she testified under perjury twice in here that she hadn't seen or heard of Ahmed Elmi since 2011. And you'll find in your packet too, and Priya Sam Sadar had this brought forward, as I understand, 2016. This is the affidavit of service of the eviction notice for Ahmed Noor Said Elmi in 2012, a year after she said she had last heard from him. Less than 10 blocks from where she lived in Minneapolis.
How is our national security at stake here?
If you if you talk to the police, they will tell you that a person's past behavior is the best indicator of their future behavior. Best predictor of their future behavior is their past behavior. I have laid out for you Representative Omar's past behavior.
So it turns out that there's an eviction notice for Ahmed Elmi, Ilhan Omar's brother, from 2012, proving that he was living just 10 blocks away from Ilhan Omar in Minneapolis. You don't just accidentally forget that your ex-husband, or that your brother of all people, lived down the frickin' street, and then it gets even more suspicious. Omar allegedly filed to legally separate from her brother back in 2017, and within 37 days, Ahmed magically remarries another woman. Sure, you know, just a coincidence. Yeah, nothing suspicious at all, not like she was married to her brother for immigration purposes alone, and then the moment they separated, probably, after he got his citizen papers all sorted, they divorce, and instantly he marries another woman, probably his actual spouse. Something is not adding up here. And Steve Drazkowski also claims at one point, Ilhan Omar, Ahmad Elmi, and Ahmad Hersey. Ahmad Hersey, I believe, was Ilhan Omar's next husband, which she separated with, I believe, in 2019. At one point, were all living in the same house together.
There's questions about FAFSA. Incidentally, the marriage between Ahmed Elmi and Representative Omar occurred in 2009. As I understand, that was the first year that they both attended North Dakota State together. And during that 2 or 3 or 4 years at North Dakota State, there were at least 2 instances at 2 different addresses that Representative Omar, Ahmad Hersey, and Ahmad Elmi all lived at the same address. I think that should be interesting.
Guys, shouldn't she be deported? I mean, she hates America. Shouldn't she be deported?
Is that a real address or a postbox? No, I can't recall. There were 2 different ones in 2 different points in time. So evidently they may have moved to a different street address or something.
In other words, she lied in her testimony. Something is not adding up. And at this point, if Ilhan Omar doesn't face a serious investigation here, then I'm just putting my hands up in the air and I'm saying the justice system is officially a complete joke. This isn't just one little mistake. It's a years-long pattern of fraud, deception, and outright law-breaking. She's illegally funneled fundraising dollars to her now current husband, to her own organizations. She's lied under oath and allegedly committed immigration fraud. When are politicians going to be held accountable for the actions that they engage in? It's always the same damn thing. Democrats break the law, they lie under oath, they funnel all kinds of money inappropriately, they weaponize their power and systems for personal or party gain, and then when caught or when it comes to light, the media memory holes the whole damn thing. Hillary Clinton's emails never happened. The Hunter Biden laptop never happened. In fact, the media doesn't only want you to memory hole the damn thing, they want to rewrite history and cast Joe Biden as a historic president that will go down with an incredible legacy. Ooh, how brave and amazing. I mean, what a joke. The Obama administration also spied on Donald Trump. They worked with the Hillary Clinton campaign to launch a shadow coup against the sitting president of the United States. But I guess that was just debunked, right? Fake news never actually happened. Yeah, until the evidence became so freaking overwhelming. But again, no accountability. Whenever leftist politicians commit crimes, it's always treated as a right-wing conspiracy theory. Ooh, it's a conspiracy theory. Is it really, even when there's a freaking paper trail? Ilhan Omar allegedly committed immigration fraud and then lied about it under oath. Something ought to happen, right? Otherwise, it's a double...
That and she married her brother to keep him in the country. All right, thank you, Liberal High Mind, for that. I'll let it go at that point. For time's sake. Yeah, and plus, we got to do this too. Oh, heck no. Play the other one too, please. Okay, the other one was played for you. Thank you for the $5 super chat, talking trash and truths. Now, y'all don't leave Shelly do all the heavy lifting now. You know, don't leave her hanging. Don't leave her hanging. There, she's like, she's got us 3 steps closer to the goal, just like that. You know, she's sacrificed to take a gas for the cause. Just taking gas. That's all it is. All right. Well, actually, no, it's actually 2 takes of gas now. So that's even better, right? You're actually doing double the good work. Double the good work over there. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for supporting the channel. It means a lot. It helps so much. Especially in these trying times right now, indeed. Though hopefully those trying times will be changing soon, but still fighting every day, buddy. Fighting every day. All right. Let me see here. Okay, we got that. Okay, now check this out. You guys, this is the last segment in good news, and we're gonna go on to cool things, all right? So it's coming up quickly. You're gonna get those answers you've always been looking for.
Welcome.
We're gonna see a hover car. We're gonna find out about the song Mother from Danzig. We're gonna find out all that stuff coming up soon. And look at some cool underground cities, I believe, too, for a little bit. And then you got some funny videos coming up, some good funny videos. Some of our favorites are back, and some good finds that I found, and some stuff from I may have found one of the funniest clips I've ever seen. So that's come up in funny videos tonight as well. But we'll watch a good, let's see. Yeah. We'll watch a good amount of this. Let me see if I can get us into it a little bit more. All right. I think we're fine. We're good on this one. So let's rock and roll. This is a guy I don't have on too much, but I like him. His name is Politibra. And that's not a bra like, you know, that holds boobs up, but a bra like you're biting, you know, like that. All right, here we go. Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate it. You hang in there, right? I don't want anybody to put themselves out. Just you do a lot of promoting on. I appreciate the promotion to do, the resharing to do on X and all that stuff. I noticed those things, so thank you so much. Yeah, don't put yourselves out, but if you can, everybody's support's appreciated. All right, so here we go. So Eric Swalwell, a Republican, shuts him up, plays a video that makes him ruin his pants. So I figured this would be a good one, right? Let's go check it out.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Andy Biggs drops what might be one of the greatest clapbacks at Eric Swalwell you will ever see in this amazing video. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our great sponsors over at AAA Gold, but more on that later. Now, let's dive in.
This committee met about 2 months ago.
All right. All right, boobies for Shelly, please. Thank you for the $5 super chat, just Don. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being here. We'd love seeing you and me be hanging out. It's really awesome. So thank you so much, especially on a Saturday night. We can just all chill out, laugh, have a good time. It's always fun. Always fun. All right, here we go. We're gonna make him ruin his pants. Let's go.
And the chairman, who can call any person in the world who walks this earth as a witness, called this guy, who tweeted just a couple weeks before the hearing, "Fuck cops." You're a witness. Tweeted that. Not one of you disavowed that guy. Not one of you said that was inappropriate. I was stunned.
In case you don't remember, this is Eric Swalwell, the one who was having the affair with the Chinese spy that was on his payroll. That guy, remember him? Somehow he still has a job. I don't know how, but he still does.
You call yourself a pro-police party, and you bring a witness before us that says, "Fuck cops." I don't believe in that. But I thought if you didn't believe in that, you would have taken the opportunity to say it. But no, not only did you not disavow it, you invited the guy here in Congress to be your witness. Imagine if we had ever done that. We didn't. You did. Second, I would love Mr. Johnson to disavow, because by the way, I will disavow the defund the police movement. I've never called for it. I believe, just as President Biden believes when he addressed Congress, that we should fund the police. But Mr. Johnson, will you disavow your colleague, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who tweets out and makes money off of a defund the FBI movement? Because they're police too. They protect us too. But I don't think you will. I think you're going to sit silent. And your silence, by the way, is complicity. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Appreciate the backpedaling at an alarming rate from the other side. Watch out, you might fall over backwards. We have a video to play. I think this will provide some visual summation. Please.
And here comes the smoke.
And the police has to happen. We need to defund the police.
Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million.
I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
But we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
It is outdated. It is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street. So yes, defund your butts. Defund you.
Yes, I support the reallocation of resources from NYPD.
We will be moving funding from the NYPD.
Yes, I support the defund movement. I'm for responsible reallocation of resources
and defund the police.
I think you do all those other things, you don't need all the money that's going to the police department. So yeah, I mean, the spirit of it, I do support that.
Yeah, you know, a lot of us were asked if we could imagine a future without police back in 2017 when we were running for office. And I answered yes to that question.
We are going to reduce funding in the police department and redirect that money.
We propose to redirect over $7 million from the
police.
The police department here in Minneapolis needs to be dismantled, and we need to start anew.
In some necessary cases, completely dismantling those police forces.
Police departments are taking a sizable amount of the budget of a lot of municipalities and other entities. We need to look at those budgets, pull some of the money back.
But we talk about defunding the police, defunding the Pentagon.
My push is that we defund our police departments.
Defunding police means defunding police. If these reports are accurate, then these proposed cuts to the NYPD budget are a disingenuous illusion. This is not a victory. The freshman Democrat adding the fight to defund policing will continue.
Mr. Chairman, I also have several articles that I would like to submit for the record. Instead of reading all the titles, I'll just provide those to you if that's okay.
Weird.
Without objection.
Let's just revisit some of these brilliant.
All right. So yeah, that's enough. I decided to do what if I was just to sit around, make videos, make expressions like that? It wouldn't really work too good. Hey, it's Grimm's Bar. What's up, Grimm's Bar? How you doing? Welcome to the show. Good to see you. He comes in, squeeze. Big ups to Suzanne from Grimm's Bar. Shout out, long distance dedication coming in from Grimm's Bar to Suzanne, who says, big ups. All right. How'd that work out for him, right? Oops, he got burnt. He got the smoke. He got the smoke. All right, let's go ahead and do that and do that and do that. We're gonna go swinging in sideways to our next segment just as soon as I can find this awesome fun intro.
Filters change the way we feel, blurry lines between what's real. Cool things a thrill we chase. Time's a blur in this fast-paced race. I'm lost in a world of cool things, streaming through my endless dreams. Every frame, a piece of me, it shows cool things wherever I go. Microwave screens call out my name, pixelated faces play the game. Cool things that are coming in time, I want every one of them to be mine.
All right, welcome to Cool Things. And is this cool? Is it not? We'll find out. But evidently, someone's building a giant cube in some foreign country. Let's see how that's going. We're gonna just play all these in their entirety, but we'll jump through them and decide whether they're cool or not. And right after this one, we'll get to Danzig.
Imagine building a cube so large
Oh, it's so quiet.
20 Empire State Buildings could fit inside it. Now imagine filling that cube with a virtual reality holodome. Well, that's exactly what Saudi Arabia proposed at the start of 2023. And honestly, most people just kind of roll their eyes. Surely this project was impossible. Surely it was just a stunt, right? Well, towards the end of 2024, to everyone's surprise, construction actually got underway.
Kitty,
And
what's
to this day,
up?
the developers could not be more convinced of the completion of this record-breaking building. So let's take a second look at this project and see just how far it's come since we last spoke about it.
People over in the Middle East like to do crazy projects like this. I think they're kind of cool. I don't really mind them at all. They they want to build the line, right? The line. We've gone over the line, and now they've got the cube. The cube and the line together would be very interesting. You could actually make like a teeter-totter out of it if you really were good. But maybe there'll be cubes and lines everywhere one day. Who knows?
The cube is meant to be the main attraction of a brand new downtown in the Saudi capital, Riyadh.
Yes,
The downtown is called New Murabba, while the cube is called the Mukab. In case you were wondering, that's
Mukaba.
literally just the Arabic word for cube, so makes sense.
The cube.
According to those plans from 2023, the Mukab would be 400 meters tall from top to bottom, which means that it would technically count as a super tall skyscraper. But unlike normal skyscrapers, it would
Thanks
also
for coming
be
by,
400
Graham.
meters wide. As we already mentioned, you could fit 20
forgot Grim
Empire
hates
State Buildings inside the Mukab and still have some room to spare. This would actually make it the largest building in the world, not the tallest building. We're talking volume here. The Mukab would smash the current record, which is held by the Boeing Everett factory in Washington. The Mukab would be such a massive structure that it would actually be 5 times larger than the current record holder. And the size isn't even the most amazing part of this project.
Look at that.
Apparently, setting foot inside would be like entering another world.
Wow. That'd be kind of
A colossal
cool.
dome would be placed in the cube and covered by a sea of holograms. These
Wow.
holograms would make the Mukab's visitors feel like they're at the bottom of the ocean or on the surface of Mars or in a magical
Dude.
fantasy realm.
All right, come on now. This is cool. This is cool. I think it's cool. I would like to go to the cube now.
Center of all of this would be a spiral tower full of restaurants, cinemas, and hotels. It would be larger than the Eiffel Tower.
But because it's in Saudi Arabia, there'd be no alcohol and nothing else to do. So, yeah, but it still would be very cool to go there.
And the biggest indoor structure ever built. There would also be towers at the corners of the cube packed with plenty more rooms and facilities.
Look at
And
that.
the network of basements would provide 350,000 square meters of extra space. Not to mention the top of the structure,
I'm
which would be
pro-cube.
turned into a giant garden. In total, the entire megastructure would be able to accommodate
So
a quarter
the top of the cube is where they could throw their undesirables off.
of a million people. Michael Dyke, the CEO of the project, summed it all up pretty well.
Irony.
It's just unbelievable. He's also called it the most complex engineering thing ever undertaken. The official plan has always been
about
to
it.
finish it by 2030. It's part of Vision 2030, a wider plan to shift Saudi Arabia's economy away from oil and towards tourism and technology instead. It was also recently announced that Saudi Arabia would be hosting a World Expo in 2030. This World Expo, or World Fair, would run for months and see millions of people visit Riyadh. Wouldn't it be great if the Mukab project was finished and ready to greet them? Well, there's a problem though. Or
You get
rather,
yourself in a lot of trouble
a
there.
couple of problems. Since the Mukab was
One.
announced, people have been wondering if this structure is even technically possible. As we said, their CEO, Michael Dyke, called it the most complex engineering project ever. But maybe it's too complicated. Could any of this even actually be done? Well, the second problem here is money. Shocking, right? Even if the project is technically
Wow.
feasible, funding it is another matter entirely. In total, the new Murabba
You think of,
project is
when you
expected
think of Saudi Arabia, you think of like endless supplies of money, don't you?
to cost around $50 billion. But in 2023, when the project was announced, Dr. Andreas Krieg, an expert in Middle
The
Eastern
board
studies
craft,
at King's
yes.
College London, said the finances of all of this are
Will
not
be
entirely
assimilated.
secured. It's a very nice British way of putting that. This was later confirmed by Knight Frank, a property
Oh,
company
only 50 billion? Well, shoot, man. We sent did we send them more than that for circumcisions or something?
who found that the project had only raised about $3.6 billion, less than 10% of the total cost.
So you guys you should have hit up USAID. Too late now.
All of that had come from the Saudi Public Investment Fund. It seemed the project wasn't just relying on local funding, meaning a big chunk of the missing capital had to come from foreign investors. With all of this uncertainty around both technical requirements and project funding,
Look at that. It's like a stack of clamshells or something.
a lot of people in 2023 were pretty dismissive of the project. Yeah, sure, a cool idea with lots
Impossible
of
cube.
stunning renderings, but something that would actually be built one day didn't feel very likely.
Oh.
But then came a bit of a twist. Before we take a closer look at these satellite images, we want to take a quick moment to thank
They're
Extra
building the
for sponsoring
line,
this video.
dude. They're
Extra
building the
creates
line.
these sleek and modern smart wallets that blend
Hold
style
on.
with innovation. They come in a variety of designs and colors, like this bergamot brown. Upgrade your everyday carry cube.
Nice insert. There you go.
You're
Look at
looking
that.
at the spot in the city of Riyadh where the Muqab is meant to be.
They already got a lot
This
of cool
satellite image
stuff
was
over there.
actually taken in February 2023, about a week after the project was first announced. Here's the same spot a few months later. Okay, nothing's really changed. But here it is.
Oh, look at
the end
that.
of September 2024.
I
don't
see
know
a
about you,
cube.
but to me, that definitely looks like the foundations for a giant cube. We even got our rulers out, and it looks like the sides of this excavation are exactly 400 meters long. The
But wait,
company
that's not
behind
all.
the new Muraba project officially
Buy one,
confirmed
and
it
we'll
in
send you a
October
free one
when they
just
put
for an
out
additional
this
shipping and
official
handling
press
fee.
release. To quote them,
Get 2 cubes for
excavation at
what?
the iconic Muqab has reached 86% completion. Apparently, 10 million cubic meters of earth have been excavated so far. To put that into
Wow.
perspective, if you took
Now that's
all
some
that
job
earth,
security
you'd
right
have enough
there.
to fill about a sixth of the cube itself. That work was done by 900 people plus 250
Well, look, they got the
excavators.
vest on.
You can
They're
actually
doing
see
it.
those excavators in another satellite image. Now, I'm not going to count them because my math stinks, but that sure looks like a couple hundred machines to me. The release also mentions a temporary bridge that'll be built over the King Khalid Road. Let's be clear here. With a project like this one, digging the foundations and building the bridge is the easy part. But it's definitely a start, and as the press release goes on to say, all this work is meant to demonstrate the company's strong commitment to the project. Interestingly, the press release also talks a lot about the project's health and safety. It says that 3 million safe work hours have been logged so far, that progress and safety go hand in hand, and there's even a quote from Michael Dyke about prioritizing the well-being of our workforce. Okay, sure, maybe they're overcompensating for the accusations of human rights violations on other projects. At this point, we can't really confirm or deny whether the Muqab project is treating its workers
Which
well
one are
or
they
not, but
talking about?
that is certainly what the company is claiming at the very least. This press release doesn't give us an update on the project's date of completion, but luckily, in the same month, October 2024, Dyke gave an interview in Dubai.
2024, how old is this video?
2,283 days
Am I
until
playing
the
old
31st
videos
of
tonight?
December 2030, and that will be the point by which the core downtown is online. The Muqab sits at the heart of
7
that,
days
and will
ago.
be
No, we're
fully
good.
functioning. In other words, Dyke still thinks the project will be ready for Expo 2030. Maybe everyone was
Wow.
wrong to doubt the cube. Maybe it's
Don't
coming
doubt the
after all.
cube.
But
Don't
wait a
doubt
minute.
the cube.
There's something we need to talk about here. Earlier, we saw how the Muqab project was searching for foreign investors. The Saudi Public Investment Fund had only given them $3.6 billion.
Maybe they
less
did get
than 10% of the
USAID.
project's total cost. In that recent interview, Dyke was asked about this, and apparently he declined to comment. So, has the project managed to raise that money? Well, the actual answer is
everyone.
probably
Rumble,
not.
I love you
In
guys.
a totally
Thank you so
different
much.
interview, but again in October of 2024, Dyke
Killing
put
it.
out a call for
Awesome.
investment. We have a finite level of capital, so
Hey, and
that
how
means
you
we must
doing?
attract
Good to
partners.
see
In other
ya.
words, they're definitely still looking for money. And that kind of makes you wonder, why is
Well,
he
come
so
get here earlier
confident that the
today, and
cube
then
will
you
be
will
finished
to
when
hang
they're
out with
still
you.
looking for ways to fund it? Well, we have a theory.
It's good to see
Before
you.
we tell you what it is, if you're enjoying this video and you want to see similar content in the future, don't forget to subscribe to Megabills.
Oh, you got 100. You got a 1.3 million subscribers, man. You ain't got enough to send some over this way. We'll do it. We'll talk about cubes all day long.
Back to the cube. As we've seen, Michael Dyke has been giving us some very mixed messages.
Michael Dyke and his
shall we
giant
say.
cube.
On the one hand, he's telling everyone who will listen that the project is on course for
Can we call
completion.
it the
But at
Dyke
the same
cube?
time, he's searching for investment. So what's actually going on here?
Anybody want to invest
how
in a
about
cube?
this for a theory? Maybe
I'll
Dyke
invest in it.
said the project is on course to be finished in 2030, not because he thinks that will actually happen, but because he knows that this kind of confidence is needed to convince other companies to invest. At the end of the day, that's
confidence
just how
cube.
the game is played. No one would pump their money into a project that's still surrounded by so much uncertainty. They're much more likely to
I just
invest in
want a
something
room
that's
there.
on course for
Like-
success. They literally announced that construction had started
Thank
in the
you.
exact same month that Dyke put out that call for investors. In other words, they're trying everything they can to convince people that this project is legitimate. And while it's
Okay.
a fairly normal tactic, it doesn't reveal much about whether it'll actually be done by 2030. When it comes to Saudi mega projects, this is actually a pretty familiar story. 2 years ago, we posted a video a lot like this one when construction first
Is it
started
Elon
on
in
the
it?
line. They excavated a massive piece of land 170 kilometers long. And at the same time, officials were traveling the world trying to drum
Oh,
up
not the-
investment. Well,
no.
apparently they haven't had much luck. And there are rumors now that the line will be reduced to roughly 2% of the
I
plan.
hope they're reducing the line. See, I knew the line was going to come up in this. There's the line. Only 2% of a line. Well, you know what? You start with 2% of a line, and then you see where it draws out from there, man. It can only go straight. That's all you know. That's all I think about a line is it can only go straight, and then it's an angle, right? So, like I said, the cube and the line, they got promised. I like to see both of them happen.
Original
actually.
length. But honestly, we don't think that money is the determining factor when it comes to whether the Muqab gets completed by 2030. There are still some major technological hurdles that the project needs to overcome. And with less than 6 years on the clock, time is ticking, in particular, that giant holographic dome. Dyke has admitted the technology today exists, but not at the scale that we're going to be deploying it. There are
what you need to do is get you some AI help.
things like the hologram fans, but we're not sure if that technology actually does exist in the style of those renders shared in 2023. But okay, instead of giant holograms, maybe the dome could use a wraparound LED screen like the one in the Las Vegas Sphere. But even then, it would be pretty hard to pull
Las
that
Vegas
off.
Sphere.
At 15,000
Let's
square
look at
meters,
that.
the screen in the
I've
Sphere
never
is
seen
the
that
largest
before.
one in the world. It's roughly the size of 3 football pitches.
Have you guys seen the Sphere?
Macabre would need to be at least 20 times as large. Maybe that's exactly what Dyke was talking about when he said that the technology exists, but not at the scale they need. Having said that, though, everything you read about the
That
plan
must be
of
new,
Macabre
'cause I
talks
went to
about
Las Vegas, I
holograms,
didn't see a
not
Sphere.
LED screens. So, yeah. Either way, the technology really isn't
That
there
would be
yet,
so
and
cool,
it
though,
seems like the project hasn't raised enough money yet.
It'll happen one
What
day.
does this whole situation mean for the Cube? Well, while researching all of this,
We had 0 point energy, like when Dr. Stephen Greer was saying that's out there, maybe it'll happen. I don't know, man. I want a cube.
came across, you guessed it,
I want a line and
yet
a
another
cube
interview with Dyke.
and
This
a
one was
sphere.
in November of 2024,
Come on.
about a month after all the others. In
Give
this
me my
interview, he
Jetsons
spoke about
future.
phase 1 of the project, which is an interesting phrase that he hasn't used anywhere else. More
Interesting.
specifically, he said phase
All right.
1.
So we get the idea. We'll keep an eye on out there for the cube. If you guys see a cube, just let me know, right? We're gonna keep our eyes out, our eyes peeled for the cube and the line and the spear and all kinds of other things. But let me go ahead and queue up our next video here. This is the one I've been waiting to play for you guys for a while. I haven't watched it, so but I kind of know where it's going. So let me move it up here for all you music lovers out there. And I know there's quite a few out there in the crowd. This will take me a second because I gotta bring it all. I've had this like saved for a minute here. All right. Oh, I forgot some of these early ones too. I added some new ones. All right, so let's get into this. I know you guys have been waiting for this, and I'm probably gonna get copyright claimed for it. So if for some reason this glitches out, or like all of a sudden I jump ahead and be like, wasn't that interesting? It's because we're dealing with music here, and I'll try my best to appeal it, but I have an idea that this song, if they play it, hold on, if they play it, no doubt, I'll get copyright. In fact, I can even kind of project this a little. I mean, project this a little bit. Hold on, let me see. Maybe this guy is already knows that this is.
This one's a banger.
Okay, hold on.
All right. I happen to.
You know how this goes, right? YouTube like lags. Like I'm hitting pause right now and it's still playing. Okay. And stop. There we go. Okay, let me see here. All I do is hit the more, and it'll say, okay, no. So it looks like, if anything, they didn't get copyrighted on it. So let's bring these guys in. I don't know who they are. Brutal Planet Media. Ooh, sounds tough. All right, and let's check it out. It'll tell you in a second. This is what I deal with on these playlists sometimes. I'm literally like, okay, all right, okay. And it's like, okay, well, let me take about 3-4 minutes to get started here. That's why you got to have good commentary. You got to think on the fly.
This one's a banger. All right.
Banger.
I happen to
after banger after banger.
I can't remember how it came about. Oh, I was watching old Headbangers Balls on YouTube. I was watching Headbangers Balls.
Yeah.
Headbangers Sweaty Balls.
That's weird, Dustin.
And they played the song Mother, and I remembered that the song Mother, it was originally released as a single, and it kind of like didn't do that well, and then they re-released it a couple years later, and it like became a buzz clip on MTV. And so I thought, that'd be a cool thing to kind of like look into. And
did anybody here ever see Danzig in concert? Anybody here like Danzig? I used to love Danzig when I was growing up, and I'm pretty sure I've seen him twice, at least 2 times live, and at a very up close venue. He was a lot of fun, and the crowds were rowdy clubs. Oh man, I can tell you stories about that. I miss them too. Yeah, I can tell you stories about those shows at the Boathouse. Boy, the corner of death, man. You go to these hard rock shows, hard metal shows. They had the metal rails up front, so you couldn't, like, there's like a gap between the stage and the crowd, and they pack everybody in this one side, right? And you'd be packed in. It wasn't a big place. It was big enough, right? But everybody wanted to be up front. And boy, man, you get smushed you get smushed and smushed. Like literally, people would be tapping out and getting out of there because you get smushed up against that rail up front. And then there's another like corner, like right up the like stage, what would be stage left, a corner right with another rail just like the one that was up front. So you get this corner of death, and on the other side of that was like 21 and up, right? So back in the days when I went to these kind of shows, I was not in the 21 and up crowd. So I remember this, like, inching towards the corner of death, and eventually you would get to the corner of death, and you'd be like, oh, get me out of here, because there's no escape. Once you're in the corner of death, you're just done. The only way out is like to like call for the bouncers that are like walking around the front row to make sure nobody jumps over and gets on stage and does something stupid. It's just to call for them, being like, help, help. And it was hot and it was sweaty. Oh man, dude, it was one of those. Okay, Gundam, what's up, Gundam Zig, who has a Zig in his name too. Saw Danzig on Lucifuge's tour at Old Hammerjacks in Baltimore. I was stuck watching from stairs in front, so it was so packed. Oh man, those shows were insane. I saw Joan Jett like 3 times at the same place. Saw Jane's Addiction at the same place. God, there's so many. I gotta go back through my. They used to do reggae festivals at that place too, so I saw a lot of reggae bands there. And then they had it back too, like for summer times. It had back out. But yeah, very popular venue, very old school venue. And I saw many more. I can't even think of all of them. I saw like Guadalcanal Diary there. I saw I don't know, man. I'd say that was the thing, man. We would go see all these shows there. It was a lot of fun, and it was 18 and up, so you could go there and have a good time. Actually, I don't think it was like 16 and up. I don't know. It was underage and overage. I think you had both there. But they split people up, and they would take the 21 and ups, and you get a bracelet or something like that, and you have to end up on the other side. I guess that's how they stop the kids from drinking. But anyways, there you go. So let's get back to the story.
It's like even cooler than I thought. So Mother by Danzig, this slick Rubin produced song was always primed to be a top 40 hit, but it took 6 years for it to finally claim its glory. Danzig originally released Mother as the lead single for 1988's Danzig, but immediately faced the blowback of people claiming they were Satanists.
Yep.
Its MTV banned video, which featured a chicken being sacrificed on a cross, didn't help. Lyrically, the song was a direct response. So this is the part that I did not know.
Check this out.
Lyrically, the song was a direct response to Tipper Gore and the PMRC's crackdown on explicit music content, making for a delicious, devilish invite to the dark side. Thankfully, it would get a second life after the lightly remixed Mother 93 blew up. So just to reiterate that, the first version of Mother came out on Danzig's 1988 album. I'm pretty sure it's a self-titled Danzig record. Yeah. And then it was re-released on Thrall Demon Sweat Live in 93. And it was a live video, but I didn't realize it wasn't actually a live performance. They just took the original song and put like a crowd noise underneath it and released the video as a live video.
Gotcha.
So thematically, the song is a rhetorical challenge to parents, primarily inspired by Tipper Gore, who, along with the Parents Music Resource Center, introduced the parental advisory warning placed on albums containing explicit content. Glenn Danzig explained further, Al Gore wanted to tell people what they could listen to and what they couldn't. It was basically coming down to the idea that he wouldn't let anybody record any music that he didn't think you should be doing. There was going to be an organization that would tell you what you...
And of course, Al Gore, if it's Al Gore, then what they were trying to do was smash down smaller labels so they could promote the big labels with the more, complicit mind-controlled style music of pop music and all other stuff, right? So, and of course, at this time, also hip-hop, rap, gangster rap, setting up an entire generations of Black youth for prison time and crime. So, yeah, they didn't like the kind of music I listened to. They kind of wanted to smush down the metal side, the more anti-establishment music that was out there, because they were basically telling people that war sucked and not to trust authority, not to trust this. They were speaking out against the establishment, which I think that got into helped a lot of us have that mindset just growing up. With these bands, with these metal bands and other hardcore bands that were out there that were true anti-establishment, Gen X anti-establishment. And it was the establishment in those days. You had the Bushes, the Clintons. There's Al Gore. being a fascist and helping the music industry labels that he wanted to see aspire. And that's why you wouldn't hear a lot of great music on radio and back then. Now, there was still good music. I mean, don't get me wrong, but you didn't hear Iron Maiden. And hell, it wasn't until the Black Album that Metallica got any play on the radio at all. And they had Injustice for All, was a phenomenal album. You're not going to hear Anthrax on the radio. Now, some of these, they're getting played more today than ever because now they're classic rock, right? But back when they were thriving and coming up and competing, they weren't winning awards. They weren't getting airplay. You'd hear Lionel Richie and all these bad, just sappy songs played over and over and over again as if they're popular, was top 40 grift, right? Like everybody thought that this is actual people calling into radio stations to request songs, and that was a fair competition. They had no idea that it was all promotions and marketing and who paid to get where and who they wanted to be on top and what message they wanted to send through music. This is the manufactured music industry spiel right here. So bands like Danzig and others got squished down. They got squished down. That's him saying, screw you, Al Gore. Of course they did it, and they said, well, this is because of they're satanic in nature, or they're this and that. And and there were bands like Slayer and Danzig that definitely came across that way. And for the most part, Slayer they're phenomenal musicians, metal musicians, but much of their but there's a lot of anti-war sentiment in their music as well. So they walked that line because, again, the sign of the times were fundamentalist, evangelical, Bible thumping preachers who took it too far, who wanted to oppress too many rights. They became authoritarian in their approach, right? And so it made, like I said, it made it very easy to turn the youth against, turn them away from religion, because in those days, the archetype of it was the jitterbug, driving and living large preacher who was telling you were going to hell if you didn't oppress every desire that you had. And of course, the teenagers and kids and stuff like that, that's just not going to go, right? That's what I'm saying. Like at this time, when we're coming back around to a more moral base, we have to be careful not to let those kind of people take over, right? We have to be careful not to let the authoritarian moralist become have the bigger voice than the moral base, right? Just be morally based, right? Without trying to tell you what to do. The libertarian more approach than the authoritarian approach. That's going to be on us and on our kids too, because they'll try to do that same play because it worked, right? And that's one that we would be memory hold on that. We would forget that all they had to do was infiltrate the churches, build them up with money, right? Get them to be the big voices, and then tell everybody that you're going to hell if you dance, right? And then all of a sudden you got to, here we go again, back around the demoralization Ferris wheel, right? Back around the carousel, back the circle we go, and the cycle we go. We can't that's why you got to have root cause solutions. You got to have solution culture that'll block off fundamentalists, moralists that have come out there and will try to become authoritarians and use hell as an excuse to do it. We can never let that happen again. We got to remember to stay morally based. That's my speech on that. Let's see. Our local rock station got scared into playing the heavier stuff. When a local college station got real popular playing hard rock and metal, they used money to financially crush it. Yeah, I remember that's what would happen with a lot of rock stations as well. They would become more popular by being a little bit more edgier with their music, which was just like, play some Led Zeppelin or something, right? Or they'd have like remember the Friday night shows, Saturday night shows, like late night shows where you get to hear these kind of songs? They'd be real popular. Like you just sit around and listen to the radio. Those were fun, man. Those were fun. They felt fun, right? They felt fun. And like, oh, here comes our metal headbanger hour. Like headbanger's ball, but metalhead hour or whatever. Like, and they'd have a late night show. Dr. Demento was fun like that too. I think Dr. Demento would play some harder music, but they would have specialty shows. And the same with hippie music too. Like they had the Grateful Dead hours, and they'd have things like that appealed to non-mainstream music lovers, right? And that were outside of the establishment mind control music, right? And they'd have those, and they'd feel fun and they feel special. And you go and you would like you'd want to be at that radio show, and that was just turning on. He had no visuals, nothing, but you turn it on, make make sure that station's on. They'd come out and buy out those stations and turn it into a mass-produced piece of shit from nationalized radio that felt local or whatever. I remember when they bought out so many good stations in the places that I live. Oh, we're getting bought out. Oh shit. Okay, there goes everything we loved and enjoyed about the station is now gone. Now you got a top 40 format or urban renewal. I remember that one station I used to listen to turned into an urban renewal. I was like, what the hell is urban renewal? I literally called in and asked the DJ that when they announced it. I was like, what the hell is that? Well, it's kind of like this and that. It's like, I won't be listening to this station anymore. I know that. It eventually started to change as they started making some more of the stuff mainstreamed, right? But I'm sure there's still a lot of really awesome bands out there that aren't getting radio play anywhere, right? It should. Today's anti-establishment music, wherever it is. I mean, a lot of jam bands aren't getting played on radio. Of course, people don't have the attention span for that. You can't fit ads in between those songs. So you're not going to hear like a Mo or a Widespread Panic song on mainstream radio, even though people would enjoy it. But they won't. I thought you can go to satellite radio and get some of that on Jam On or whatever. You're better just finding their YouTube page and listen to it. But I go on and on and on and on and on about this stuff. This is one of those things I could talk about all night when it comes to music, manufacturing, music industry, and the unfairness to musicians that it goes on. There's a lot of great musicians out there that for one reason or another don't make it. Usually 90% of the time it's their own fault. But for those that are really, really badass, there's a ceiling that you've got to punch through one way or another. I mean, they last decades on their fan base alone because they're so good and so much fun. Their shows are new and interactive, and they're always thinking up things to make it fun, sandwiching songs, doing, having guests on, or just keeping the crowd interested in being part of the entire tour instead of some part of it. Go to one show, you've seen them all, right? Kind of thing. That's manufactured music. You go to one show, they go, okay, let's run the A set, let's run the B set, and that's it, right? That's what you get. If you see them once or twice, you've seen the whole thing. Probably never have to see them again. You'll get the same show. You go to jam band shows or some other metal shows, they'll go off and they'll play a few songs in and out of each other. They'll do longer guitar solos. They'll do maybe some drum solos and stuff. Some fun stuff that keeps you dancing, keeps you interested. Those are the fun shows. Singing and dancing. Oh shit! Who wants to watch singing and dancing? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But hey, let me go ahead and thank this awesome person right here. Snipe Hunter, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Why did it say one on there? First? That's not your first. I know you super chatted me before. Is that your first one? That's first one tonight? Is that why it does that? Hey, we're only 5 away from the goal. Thank you for making that happen. And even if we don't reach it out, thanks everybody for trying. Yeah, awesome. So anyways, let's get back to it.
You could and couldn't record. And certainly if you couldn't record it, you couldn't put it out. It was really fascist based.
It was also, I guess, like, just to reiterate, because I know I went off on a tangent there, it was also intentional so that they can prop up their own music labels that were doing as they were told.
So the music video begins with the question, "Then I saw there was a way to hell, even from the gates of heaven," taken from The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. The original 1988 music video was rejected by MTV for its ending sequence, which contains imagery of a chicken being sacrificed and an inverted cross being drawn in its blood. Although Glenn Danzig noted that no chickens were actually killed nor harmed. He's a big animal guy.
Yeah. Yes.
The Mother 93 video used concert footage taken from the band's Halloween 1992 performance at Irvine Meadows Amphitheater in California, with additional footage shot in the UK. Going down the wormhole, I found this article from 2013. This is from August 6th, 16th of, and this was actually in like I had to go in the Wayback Machine to get this too. It was linked in Wikipedia, but it's not online anymore. It was like in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
It was from like City Pages or something, but listen to what Glenn says in this interview.
It's a City Page.
You mentioned that Mother was about the PMRC. Were they a problem for you specifically? Yeah, Al Gore wanted to tell people what they could listen to and what they couldn't. what they could record. It was basically coming down to the idea that he wouldn't let anybody recording music he didn't think you should be doing. There was going to be an organization that would tell you what you could and couldn't record. And certainly if you couldn't record it, you couldn't put it out. It was really fascist. My view on Democrats is that they're fascists disguised as liberals or liberal moderates. You're not allowed to say anything that they don't agree with. You're not allowed to do anything. Also, the whole Obama, I can kill anybody with a drone and with no trial is kind of disturbing. I'm surprised that more people who are supposedly liberal aren't more disturbed by it. I think whatever Obama does is okay with him because he's Obama. It's bullshit. So when back in this time, when conservatives were saying stuff like this, I didn't get it. And I was like, you're a racist or whatever. And a lot of people were, and they're like, oh, you just don't like him because he's black. Which is what they use to dismiss everything now. It's like, oh, you're just a racist if you don't agree with this thing. It's the same thing with the PMRC telling you bands can go on trial for their music. What's next? Wagner is going to get arrested? What? He's dead. So why did the album come out with a parental advisory sticker but without any F words? That's because of its content. We're making people think. You're not allowed to make people think in the United States. You're not allowed to have them question the government or authority. Fucking based.
Yep.
Oh yeah. From what I understand, so the interviewer is like kind of playing the devil's advocate here. From what I understand, stickering albums is voluntary for record labels. Do you remember discussing the sticker with Rick Rubin? Well, actually, back then it wasn't voluntary. There was a group that would listen to it and sticker it. Now it's voluntary. Back then it was a group that would listen to your records and say, well, it needs parental advisory. It was kind of like the PMRC. In other words, they kind of gave the PMRC a little, even though they wouldn't do what the PMRC wanted, what they did agree to was that there would be a group that would listen to a record and give it a parental advisory. But really what they didn't realize was that by giving it that sticker, it meant that it was approved for every kid who hates everything to buy it. So a Danzig and a Slayer record had the sticker. They were like, oh, it's got to be good because it has the sticker on it. You're not going to see that sticker on a fucking Bon Jovi record.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so living on a prayer.
Jersey.
Yeah, so I thought that was just very
Glenn Danzig is based as shit.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting about this to me, or that was interesting about it to me, is that I just thought, oh, I it'd be interesting to talk about how this song was released twice. I didn't know the political, backdrop or the reasoning behind why it was released twice, or that, Glenn Danzig had such salient opinions. He was like way ahead of his time.
Hell yeah, he was. Who is this dude? Who is this dude and who's his channel? I'm gonna give him a thumbs up. And I'm gonna subscribe. I bet he has some other good stories. I feel like I know him for some reason. I don't know whether he was in a band that I liked or whether somebody I met along the way. I'm sure it's not gonna tell me right here. I'll come back and check it out later on. Brutal Planet Media. Brutal Planet Media. Yeah, man. Good stuff. So now you know. Glenn Danzig's song "Mother" was about a big FU to Al Gore, and it was also that you also know that Glenn Danzig was based AF, man, based AF. Right on. This is a new one for cool things. Usually technology driven, place driven, things like that. But I just came across this, and it really didn't fit into any other place. I thought this was cool. I think you guys will think it's cool. Let me show you. I just happened to find it, and I was like, you got to show the crowd. You got to show the crowd this one because it's something you would never think to do. Hold on, you know how they're doing me. Okay, so we can't play all of it. But let's just play it when all the fun starts. There we go, about right here. All right, so what we're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, is two elephants and a didgeridoo. Got two elephants and a didgeridoo. Two elephants and a didgeridoo. And it didn't work. But hey, you know what? You could probably make it work with AI. All right, so here we go. So what do you think is going to happen when this man, that elephants have like a very low vibrational language. In case you didn't know this is a cool thing, right? They have a very low vibrational. You can hear some of their low rumbles and they have levels that we can't even hear that they can do, right? So what happens when you bring a very low pitched grumbly kind of instrument around elephants. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they'll kill each other and eat each other? Do you think they'll jump the fence and shove this guy up their ass? I mean, what do you think is going to happen? But you know, you don't have to guess any longer because we're going to check it out right here. Let's watch. They're flapping their ears. Look at the foot. Look at the foot. Flapping ears, feet, tapping. I know that's one, Jay. They're doing dancing. It's the elephant dance. Elephants smell. They do. They have a very distinct smell. You can smell an elephant coming a mile away. I think they like it. They're not shooting poo at his face. I think they like it. Hate it. Or it's torture. It's one or the other. He's put his foot up. That's a good thing, right? Look, he's putting his foot up. He loves it. Oh, is that like stop? Does that mean stop? Oh, they're clapping for him. They loved it.
Somebody has to catch corral and pass out. You lost some of that.
If their choice is excitement or food, they're going to pick food.
The growling, like, when she was growling, I could feel it go through my body. Like,
you can
feel
it.
Yeah, like, you can actually feel it. Like, I didn't know whether to stop or keep going. I was going to say, yeah, you could. This time you definitely hear it. You could hear it. Feel it.
He could feel the grumbling and he gone. So yeah, I thought that's a cool thing, right? Elephants. What do you guys think? They look agitated. I do that without the fence between them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go on in there, pal. We'll find out how much they like it then. Why he dissing us so bad, bro? I don't know. Let's see. Squirrel. I know a squirrel mini call. Well, you know. Lots of squirrels around there. See, they look agitated. I said that. Okay, damn it. Got totally booted. Okay, all right. Laughing. All right, here we go. So, okay, here we go, guys. Flying car time. But this isn't just a flying car. All right. This is it's a special flying car. All right. It's a special, and I don't know that, but evidently this is like, I don't know. It's been launched or something. Someone announced it. It's getting more popularity than other flying cars for some reason. I think because it's not just a flying car, it's a hovering car. You know that thing that the other night on Unveiling Reality where we showed that David Wilcox, that grifter, that new age grifter, David Wilcox, which was showing his stuff and how he was begging for money for his hovering car company for like years. We're getting ready to get funding. We're going to have like 5 billion. We're going to have like 500 million. Now every day we watch the whole compilation that True Seeker put together. Stephen Cambria, cool dude. We're going to have some of his stuff this Wednesday as well. He did a great breakdown of the long-term crash retrieval grip that's been going on for decades. So a lot of background history on that. So if you've been following that story with me and you're interested in those topics, I'm going to give you some good education on that this week, as well as the other things I talked about earlier in the show pertaining to the giant grip that is the ufology conspiratainment grifty universe that we've been degrifting on a weekly basis now. So we'll enjoy that together. It'll be very nice. All right, here we go. Hovering car. Sounds loud, doesn't it? I mean, what am I looking at here? A drone with a fancy cover on it? I mean, look at. Thank you for turning the volume down for this part. But see, the Fox 26 here. This is on a new company today. Has released a hover car. Can you imagine how many people are gonna be like, "Fuck, get that goddamn hover car up from the from over top of my car? You're spitting rocks at my paint. You're spitting and dust everywhere." It looks, yeah. So it's like so stable, right? It looks fragile, right? These are all the reactions I was having too. It's a prototype, but who wants one, right? I don't want a hover car. I want a flying car. Well, I mean, this isn't like a light. If this is like a land speeder, right? Like Luke Skywalker had. Now we're talking, right? I don't need it to be able to fly over in the car. You can just hover off the ground and we're good.
Hi, I'm Monty Torres of Fox 26 News on YouTube.
Yes, thank you, Monty.
Thank you for checking out.
All right, there you go. All right, enough of you. Anyways, so yeah, a quick little hit there on that one. How we doing on time? Okay, we're getting ready to cross over into funny video hour. Let me see what the time frame on that one looks like. Okay, let's see this one. Oh yeah, tonight on funny videos, Trump's 1988 prediction about Biden will blow your mind, as well as some very funny things. Weatherman snaps live on air, gets dragged off. That'd be good. As well as we're going to catch up with JP Sears and also a little bit of AI fun. And also, like I said, I think I found the funniest clip I've ever seen. I'll probably start the evening off with that one just very shortly on funny videos coming up. Before you even turn around, it'll be time for funny videos. So don't even worry about it. All right. So, and I'll play this very good. Let's see. Firefly Aerospace's Blue Ghost lander closes in on moon landing. That's a good one. I didn't get the 30 hidden underground cities in America. I feel like that one should we go definitely. And I talked about what if the U.S. Army went to war with the Mexican drug cartels. That might be a little long for tonight. Maybe we'll do that one next time. However, I found a new channel with some new sources, some really base kind of military dudes that are talking about the reality of these drug cartels. And I found what they're talking about very credible and very interesting. And also it started to change my perspective a little bit on how, I'm all for it. I mean, I think it has to be done, right? I'm all for it. But it changed my perspective a little bit on how easy it would be and what we're up against. And I think it's an important information. So I'll try to find a way to fit it in this week on Winning Tonight. So I'll probably go to that show for that. But it's going to give you a little bit more of a perspective on the reality of what this would look like. Like we think of LFAs in the desert, and we just go over there and we just roll over them, right? There's some other players involved here. It's big money, long, well-established groups. And you might be surprised to find out that they have been highly successful against special forces and other groups. And that us sending our special forces to train their military, take them on, big mistake. Special forces guys are shouting out loud about this right now, saying it's no good and this isn't the way to go about doing this. Also, that the frontline cartel that we're going to be facing, or that we want to face, is not even 3 layers deep into the real cartel. So it may be something that takes a long time to come about. And I was thinking it'd be like a good old run across the border and do it. They're like, no, these guys are way up in the mountains. They're well fortified, and they know you're coming before you get there. They've shown the ability to take down helicopters. They've shown the ability to take down other types of aerial attacks. They got all kinds of money, and they got all kinds of connections. So anything less than a very clandestine, very secretive, full-scale attack with the best that we have, like in a blitzkrieg type of thing, to me seems like it might get pretty ugly, right? I mean, and a lot of casualties, a lot of collateral damage in that, and doing that because they surround themselves with people too, like that aren't necessarily involved but are benefiting off of their drug cartel, right? So like townspeople and little kids running around and shit like that. So they know how they're clever, and so I'm gonna bring you that report here soon. And if that interests you, make sure you tune into my weekly show Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, Winning Tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, where I cover top news updates and political topics like things that we may be facing, what we're going on, a lot of stuff that's happening. We do cabinet. Well, the cabinets are all people all in, but we do press conferences. We do White House press conferences, Trump executive order press conferences. Other people's press, we cover everything we can to keep everybody informed, up to date, and based as hell. John Sanders, what's up, John Sanders? How you doing? You got a goat there with you, don't you? Crime is disorganized with a S. You're from Canada? Are you from that's a disorganized. That's a Canada spelling right there. Take away the opportunity, the crime shifts elsewhere. Yeah. That's why you have to remove the enablement of it, right? And attack the root cause issue, right? They're all bought or intimidated. Yeah. Yeah. It's generational approach. You got to take a generational approach to it. I don't believe, yeah. The only reason we allow them to move and shift and re-optimize is because we attack the symptoms and not the root cause issue. When you crack the root cause issue, you wipe out the problem. You have to remove the enablement from it. Probably agree with that, right? Yeah, they use human shields. You talking to me? I'm sure you're not. All right. Okay, cool. Not a fucking movie, man. In the fucking movie? Not a fucking movie, dude. Yeah. No shit. I don't know. I'm pretty fucking grown up. I'm in my 50s, in case you can't tell. All right. Let's see. U.S. is good at interventions, but it always ends up bad. Well, the thing that they don't realize is that they have our ex-military, ex-special forces on payroll. That's what these guys are talking about. Really base dudes, ex-special forces, talking reality about the situation. So I'm bringing that to you in a nice grown-up way, man. All right, here we go. Let's get to our next story. I think that might be it for cool things. I think we might be moving on to some comedy here. I think that's it. Is it the last one? Bird plane. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. We're going to do it, man. We're going to do it. And we're going to do it just like I got to move these down. Where's my intro for our next segment coming up shortly? Always look for the cool. Yeah, there we go. It's this one.
Is getting much worse under Trump. The country is getting much worse under Trump. Like, things are pretty bad.
What do you mean? Things are objectively improving.
No, quit paying attention to Twitter, moron. Just look around and you'll see. Like, for example, the country is more dangerous than it's ever been.
What's he doing that's making it so dangerous?
He's prioritizing the deportation of murderers, rapists, and terrorists.
How does that make the U.S. more dangerous?
Well, for starters, it makes it a less safe space for self-expression, okay? Some of those murderers have families, and some want to kill families. Did you know that murdering is culturally accepted in some places? And what? We're just gonna say that's not welcome here?
Yeah. Right, MJ?
No.
I know.
And what about the sexual offenders being deported who would prey
Me
on
too.
American women?
Oh, you mean people who would give women attention? And Trump doesn't care if they're murderers or whatever. He just wants them out of here because they're not white like him.
So you're assuming they're not white because they're dangerous criminals?
I didn't say that.
What other improvements do you think are so bad?
Oh, for example, Elon going around cutting wasteful government spending out to reduce the national deficit.
How is that not good?
Well, first, it doesn't matter how big the national deficit is because we can just print more money. No downside. And second, Elon having so much power, it is just wrong for an unelected billionaire to have so much power. Just listen to what Bill Gates, George Soros, Oprah, Alex Soros, and Reid Hoffman say. They've been warning us about this kind of thing. Like, don't be an idiot. It's right in front of you. Oh, and another way this country's going down the toilet, they're confirming a guy for health secretary whose primary goal is to make American children healthy. What's that about?
Are you against that?
Absolutely.
How in the world are you against that?
Well, he wants to limit access to things that make children sick and autistic. And I think those things make children healthy. Hey, you know what? We wouldn't even have this unhealthy children thing going on if abortion was pushed the way it's supposed to be. Know what I mean?
What else do you think is so bad?
Trump wanting to take back the Panama Canal. Did you know that Hitler stole canals? We gave that canal to Panama, and then China took it from them. And I think when a world superpower, who is our enemy, takes something that we gave to someone else, then it's theirs, fair and square. And besides, China took all that heat for the lab leak hoax. So I think we owe them one.
Attorney General Pam Bondi said that she wants the Epstein list released. What do you think about that?
It should never be released. I mean, that's anti-Semitic because Epstein was a Jew. Case closed. She just wants to go after people on that list because she hates Jews. And do you know what you're forgetting? The existence of that list is just a baseless right-wing conspiracy theory. There is no list.
So with Maxwell in prison, you think she's guilty of trafficking minors to no one?
It'd be the perfect crime, wouldn't it? No witnesses. Don't be a Jew hater. Oh, you know what else is really bad? Trump negotiated a ceasefire between Israel and Palestine.
Why is that bad?
Because of those Jews. Do you know what they've done in Gaza? A lot of genocide. But just wait. One day it'll happen to them. Then they'll know what it's like.
What else is bad about the improvements being made?
Oh, do not get me started on tariffs. To quote the great Bernie Sanders, who has never taken a nickel from pharmaceutical companies, those tariffs are most definitely harmful. Those tariffs have forced both Mexico and Canada to each put 10,000 troops on the borders to stop the flow of fentanyl, human trafficking, and illegals. So as my guy Bernie says, that kind of thing is most definitely harmful.
Your thoughts on Biden pardoning Fauci?
Well, I'll tell you this. If being the world's most trusted doctor is a crime, then lock the guy up and throw away the key.
But they can't lock him up. That's the problem.
Just got my 99th booster. Things have just gotten so bad under Trump. I mean, what's the guy going to do next? I think he's going to ban brunch just because it's gay. Then when will the LGBTQ community eat? Answer, they won't, because that was their only meal. He's going to starve them. This country is only getting worse.
It's killing it. Killing it. Left and like coming in like with left and rights with JP Sears. You know, we haven't had I haven't had him on in a few weeks, so I got a big collection of JP Sears here. Let's see. Let's run through these, and then I want to show you the world's funniest clip. I'm going to save it for the middle of the segment, though. Keep you guys hanging on edge. Yeah, I'm going to keep it to the middle of the segment because it's that good. It's so good.
New Health Secretary RFK Jr. wants to ban red dye number.
I got to get back, and I got to deal with the old temperamental YouTube. Here we go, y'all. Number 2 in the house.
New Health Secretary RFK Jr. wants to ban red dye number 40 as it's linked to cancer. Rumor has it that next he wants to ban blue hair dye as it causes women to become fat, stupid, and angry. Good evening, and welcome to We Lie to You News.
Oh, wait a second. I know you said you didn't need any attention, but Azawi13, thank you for the $10 Rumble rant. I appreciate it. You're awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's get back to it.
America continues to crumble amongst all the improvements being made. And as always, tonight we'll tell you how all that works. Oh, and happy belated President's Day. Here you can see Hillary and Kamala celebrating President's Day. Starting off in U.S. versus Canada, Over the weekend, Team USA didn't think too kindly after Canada booed the US's national anthem. What followed was 3 fights breaking out in the first 9 seconds of the game. Ultimately, the game ended with USA Hockey defeating Canada's national figure skating team 3-1. Meanwhile, President Trump continues to advocate that Canada become the 51st state while referring to Trudeau as Governor Trudeau. Even though we hate President Trump, even we have to admit that's pretty funny. Now, as many Democrat politicians are raising privacy concerns about your private data that they've already stolen from you that could be seen by Doge. Because they have the utmost respect for your privacy rights, this is not one of their arguments against the Doge. This just in! The Senate has officially confirmed Kash Patel as director of the FBI. Everyone on the Epstein list, how y'all doing? Yeah, as Doge gains more and more access, this time to the Social Security database, they've discovered something rather fascinating. The system lists over 1.4 million people in the US as still being alive over the age of 150 years old, and the system is still sending them payments. Currently, the oldest living person in the US is 114 years old. So the fact that there's over 1.4 million people over the age of 150 living in the US is highly impressive and not to be thought about. Diving in even deeper into their investigation, Doge identified 395 million active Social Security numbers. That is 60 million people more than the entire population of the US. And for some reason, they continue to think that the government needs to be audited. President Trump posted an update on some items that your tax dollars were set to be spent on until Doge did their digging. Here's a few of the highlights. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcision. $486 million to basically rig elections in Moldova and India. Now, as you know, election rigging isn't cheap, nor is it possible. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia, because helping Asians get even better at math is important. And here's a few others, as you can see.
Wow.
Pretty efficient. As Doge continues the crusade of uncovering corruption, for some reason in DC, Google searches are going through the roof for terms like wipe hard drive, Swiss bank, RICO law, criminal defense lawyer, and offshore bank. This just in! Doge has just exposed that the Treasury system has not traced $4.7 trillion that's been paid out. Anyway, no official word on why those terms are being searched for so much in DC. Now, not surprisingly, many Americans are beginning to suffer the grave hardships that we told you were coming under Trump. For an example of the devastation that's going on there, take a look at this.
I can't pee in 4% of America right now.
Whoa. If he can pee on the other 96% of America, he's got a pretty big bladder.
Yes, because I am biologically female, I cannot use the men's restroom in Florida or Utah.
Correction, she's got a big bladder. Our apologies for misgendering the lady that's misgendering herself. In other news, research has concluded that liberal women are the least happy group of people. Upon hearing these results, many liberal women did not agree, though. They were seen becoming angry, pushing back against the research while ragefully screaming that it's just not true. I do think it's that damn blue hair dye, though. It's leaking toxins into their brains and making them retarded. This just in! Disgraced Prince Harry and disgraced Canadian Princess Trudeau were seen standing and talking while looking like they were just about to go camping with each other. Meanwhile, in Germany, freedom is going well.
If somebody posts something that's not true, and then somebody else reposts it or likes it, are they committing a crime?
Yeah, in the case of reposting, it is a crime.
It's pretty good. And here you can see German police conducting a raid because a citizen committed a crime called posting a meme online. Having seen that, Democrats everywhere are reporting FOMO and grief that our election didn't go the other way. But it's good to see Germans arresting citizens for exercising fundamental human rights. It shows they're bright enough to look at something in history like the Nazis and they're able to say, that thing that has happened here could never happen here. That's it for today's news. We'd like to remind you that RFK is bad and it is good to drug your children and poison them because you're a stupid conservative if you don't. Good night.
Let me ask you this. Have you been struggling with mood swings?
Man, hilarious. Batter up. Oh no.
Hi, welcome to Two-Face the Nation. I'm Margaret, sitting down with JD Vance. Mr. Vice President, before we get started, there's something important I think you should know. My pronouns are she, him.
I don't really care, Margaret.
Your insensitivity causes me deep pain, and you're just okay with that?
Of course.
Okay. Tulsi Gabbard was just confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence. Now, as a conservative, it must be really tempting to just do memes and posts about how hot she is.
We have done a lot.
Right? I mean, if you look at Twitter, it's only Tulsi is hot memes, no posts supporting her character or qualifications.
Many of them were, though, Margaret.
I don't know. I didn't see any. But nonetheless, it appears as though the biggest division within the Conservative Party is the debate about who's hotter, Tulsi or Kristi Noem.
I agree, Margaret.
The party could fall. Now, many people were against Tulsi, and for good reason. She defended Edward Snowden. She's been labeled as a Russian asset by Hillary Clinton, who's got a great track record, and she's not even trans. What makes you think she's qualified to be the Director of National Intelligence?
She has impeccable character, impeccable record of service, and she also is a person who I think is going to bring some trust back to the intelligence services.
Wait, bring back trust to intelligence services? JD Vance, are you implying that there's some kind of ethos of mistrust within our agencies? I find that rather disturbing.
The bureaucrats at our intelligence services have gotten completely out of control. They've been part of the weaponization of our political system, the weaponization of our justice system.
Madam Vice President, my producer is in my ear telling me to interrupt you, so I am. Oh, and now I'm being instructed to say that on behalf of our network, I condemn your statements about our justice system being weaponized and our agencies being untrustworthy. Simply appalling. Ooh, news alert. JFK files to be released implicating the CIA in the assassination. Let's move on.
But let me just address this particular issue, Margaret.
Nope. Pete Hegseth, another controversial pick. I mean, the guy has a tattoo, for God's sakes. Can I ask you about Pete?
Sure.
Pete and Repeat were in a boat. Pete jumped out. Why do you think he did that?
Well, look, I think Pete is a disruptor, and a lot of people don't like that disruption.
I should think not. How long have you had that beard?
About as long as I've been alive.
Nice. Now, on the campaign trail, you and Trump made a lot of promises, and one of them was to bring down the price of groceries. And you've been in office for less than a month now, and during that time, you'd think you would have brought down all the prices, but you haven't. They've gone up, and they're only going to go more up.
No, Margaret, prices are going to come down.
Are they? They are? Well, I think you're an asshole.
Don't really care, Margaret.
Stop saying my name like that. It really bothers me.
Don't really care, Margaret.
You don't care about anything. Like, specifically bacon. What are you personally going to do to lower the price of bacon?
Well, Margaret, how does bacon get to the grocery store?
I mean, I honestly don't know. Horseback? FEMA. Trump is talking about eliminating that rather great agency. And when you look at the good job that FEMA always does in places like Maui, North Carolina, Florida, California, how do you expect American people to survive natural disasters without FEMA?
FEMA in North Carolina, in California, in Florida with some of the hurricanes has often been a disaster.
Incorrect. Trump just wants to cut FEMA. How are you okay with that?
Well, the president, to be clear, is not saying we're going to leave anybody behind. He's saying that the way that we administer these resources, some of which is coming from the federal level, some of which is coming from the state level, we've got to get the bureaucrats out of the way and get the aid to the people who need it most.
What if bureaucrats in the way is how you get aid to the people?
As Margaret, when I was in North Carolina as VP-elect, but before we were sworn in, people would talk about how FEMA would get resources, food, medicine, water to a warehouse, but then would have no plan to get it from the warehouse to the people in the mountains who were literally starving and thirsting to death.
Mr. Vice President, everyone has to die at some point. Immigration. You and Trump have made some radical changes to Biden's rather good immigration policy. You had a great one in place. Changing it seems bad. We're a country founded by immigrants.
Just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
Maybe it does mean that. And besides, every single immigrant, and I'm talking every single man, woman, child, murderer, terrorist, has been vetted properly.
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign...
Interrupting, they're all vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted. And many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't.
He sounds properly vetted.
I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted.
I want your children to share a neighborhood with people who aren't properly vetted.
Don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
Last question. Did we fake the moon landing?
Of course.
Thought so. JD Vance, thank you for sitting down with me so I could try to capture some gotcha moments. For you taking this time, I feel grateful.
I don't really care, Margaret.
Oh, I hate that. Mr. President, the Prime Minister looks hungry. He'd like a ham sandwich. Do you have one for him?
You don't know what he wants. What do you know about anything?
Oh, so stupid. I don't know anything. Thought he would enjoy a ham sandwich. He looked hungry. Whenever Trump humiliates a reporter, later no one ever asks, what happened to that guy? Well, I can tell you right now, nothing good, because I am that guy. Do you have any idea what it's like to get humiliated by the most popular guy on earth? It's like having the homecoming king bang your girlfriend in front of you, and then you apologize to him. And you mean it, because he deserves the apology. Oh, I used to be a White House reporter up until a couple days ago. Got access to Trump. What happens? He humiliates me. I mean, it's my fault. I deserved it with my stupid questions. Like most recently, I was covering the helicopter colliding with a plane, and I asked him this. Mr. President, it's me again. Are you going to visit the crash site? Or...
What did you tell me? What's the site? The water?
I didn't even care about the crash site. I was just trying to get Trump to like me. So I didn't really think that one through.
Meet with the first responder.
No, sir, I don't want you to go swimming. I guess that would be stupid. Oh, I went home and pulled all the hair out of my arms, just trying to cope with looking so stupid in front of Trump. Another one, his first day back in the White House, he's at his desk signing executive orders. So I think now's a good time to chop it up with the president. I'll bring up Spain. President Trump, what do you think about Spain's defense spending? It's pretty high, isn't it?
Spain is very low.
It is? Yeah. I meant low when I said high. It's a very nice looking tie, Mr. President. Initially made a complete fool out of myself. And then it got worse.
And yet, are they a BRICS nation?
BRICS nation? What the is that? No.
They're a BRICS nation, Spain.
Oh, yeah. BRICS. Yeah. Spain's my favorite one, aside from U.S.
You know what a BRICS nation is?
You'll
figure it out.
The most humiliating experience of my life. Until the next day. Mr. President, you've pardoned all the January 6th prisoners, but don't you think it'd be better to keep them in jail for a lot longer, just to mess with them a little bit?
Well, only for one reason. They've served years in jail.
Oh, do you want to grab a beer or something?
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
Not acceptable for a full pardon. But these people have served years of jail.
Oh, Mr. President, are you going to release the Big Mike files?
In many cases, listen to me for a second. Stop interrupting. They've served years in jail.
Being humiliated by the most popular guy on earth 4 times, my life is ruined. Things have completely unraveled. I quit my job as a reporter. I'm not going to risk taking that kind of pain again. I've got zero self-esteem, and I have night terrors where I'm asking President Trump if he's going to visit the crash site of the Space Shuttle Challenger in the fucking air every night. And Trump put me in my place. It taught me that nobody likes me and nobody ever will. I don't deserve to be liked. Side note, it turns out Trump was wrong about Spain. It's not a BRICS nation. But I still feel like I was wrong on that one. The guy has a lot of charisma.
If you take absolutely zero
There we go.
self-responsibility for your health, you can stop.
I'm gonna stop that right there because now it's time to go over to the funniest clip I think I've ever seen. And I got another funny one after that. We have to go over to X for this though. And it's just 2 quick X clips, and then we're gonna what time is it? We got a few more minutes. And when we leave here, we're gonna go over to say hi to an old friend. I haven't seen him in a long time. And see how that goes. Steve Gosney is streaming. Maybe he's restreaming. I don't know. But there seems to be people on his stream. I have no idea. But there's only 18 people in there. We're gonna give him a little bit of love. So hang tight. Because I like Steve. He's been on the show with me before a long time ago. And just let him just say hello. Just kind of way to say hello. Why not? All right. So hang tight. We got a few more to go, and then we'll be doing that. But check this out. I want to show you the world's worst auntie ever. Now, to fully grasp how funny this video is, you have to watch it a few times over and over again. So keep your eyes peeled to the screen, and here we go.
I'm trying to figure what that is. Oh, no. Pull it out. I'm trying to figure what that is. Oh, no. Pull it out.
The expression on her face was like,
pull it out.
What?
I'm trying to figure what that is. Pull it out.
The more you watch it, the funnier it gets.
I'm trying to figure what that is. Oh, no. Pull it out. I'm trying to figure what that is. Oh, no. Pull it out.
the expression is like right there. So good, so good. It was torture. I'm sure they let her in on the joke eventually. I'm sure she's not scarred for life, so don't make it upset. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's gonna be okay. All right, so let me stop this right here. She don't get the. Here we go. I'm sure she's fine when they told the jokes. But man, that's funny. Oh my goodness. It's just the expression on her face, like what? What? It's the double what? You know what I'm talking about? It's the double what? It's like what? What? That double what? It's a double what? All right. So let's check it out here. Yeah, right. All right. So here's someone who doesn't seem to get it. It's kind of funny. This is an ad for not drinking out of the sink. Okay. So here we go.
Can the mirror see my head moving?
Yeah.
How does the mirror know what I'm doing if I've got it covered?
The mirror is inanimate. It don't know nothing.
How can you see what my head is doing on the other side if I've got this up in front of me?
Because I can see your reflection.
How does the mirror know what I'm doing on the other side?
The mirror doesn't know what you're
Is
doing.
it showing what I'm doing on the other side?
I think
Yeah.
there's a camera in the mirror.
Can you see me on the other side of this mirror?
I can.
But how can you see it if this thing is up in front of me?
It's called a reflection.
How? I'm covered. How can the mirror show it?
You're covering your part, but I can see on the outside. I can see the other part. So I can see stuff that you can't see.
So is that how the mirror is showing?
I don't know what you're talking about. The mirror is a mirror. It
How
shows
does the
reflections
mirror
only.
know? How, if I'm covered, how does the mirror know what to reflect of me? I'm not in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
Can the mirror see my
Really?
head moving?
Yeah.
How does the mirror know what I'm doing if I've got it covered?
The mirror is inanimate. It don't know nothing.
How can you see what my head is doing on the other side if I've got this up in front of me?
Because I can see your reflection.
How does the mirror know what I'm doing on the other side?
The mirror doesn't know what you're
Is
doing.
it
on the
showing
other-
what I'm doing on the other side?
I think there's
a camera in the mirror. Can you see me on the other side of this mirror?
I can.
But how can you see it if this thing is up in front of me?
It's called a reflection.
How? I'm covered. How can the mirror show it?
You're covering your part, but I can see on the outside. I can see the other part. So I can see stuff that you can't see.
So is that how the mirror is showing?
It's not fake.
The mirror is a mirror. It
How
shows
does the
reflections
mirror
only.
know? How, if I'm covered,
This is
how
country
does the mirror
life,
know
folks.
what to reflect of me? I'm not in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
You can the mirror see my head?
Okay, we could watch that all night long and she'll never get it. We could watch it all night long and she'll never get it. That's the whole thing. That is weird, no? No. She doesn't understand how reflections work. That's okay, though. That's okay. She makes a mean picture of sweet tea. That's all that matters. All right. Okay, guys. As promised, we're going to go back in time. Back in time. Back in time. I feel like we've seen some of this. Hold on. All right. Let me see how this works. I'm going to save that one. We're not going to go back in time. Let's see. We're going to just do a few more parody videos and get on to getting. Get on to getting. Just me and my kitten. All right, here we go.
They all said the guy was paranoid. They said he was crazy, but he knew he was not the only one being robbed. He needed a detective. The case: find the missing fortune, expose the thieves. Sherlock Holmes accepted. He just had to tell his partner.
I'm in
Dr.
Georgia,
Watson.
bro. I've been in South my whole life.
He was told they were funding humanitarian aid. He was told it was the cost of business. He was told that it was normal to never pass an audit. But what they were really funding was power. The thieves told the world that they were heroes, and the newspapers they paid said they were too. But they were villains. Billions stolen, millions ruined. A storied empire on the brink of insolvency, as the thieves built networks of wealth, controlled access to power, and killed anyone who got in their way. The avaricious cabal of mooches had built a tangled web that only the brightest of detectives could solve. And if he couldn't solve it, the company would be ruined, stripped of its investors' wealth. Can Sherlock Holmes identify all of the crimes? Can he determine who is the mastermind behind this massive conspiracy to defraud? Can he solve the largest financial crime in the history of the world? The game, as they say, is afoot. But so is Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool, huh? That's pretty cool. If you like that one, you're probably gonna like our last video of the night. And this one, I got some more. I'll save some more for you for next week. But this one, I've been meaning to play this one for a few weeks, and I don't know why I haven't. But talk about a throwback. Talk about a good old fashioned throwback. Good old throwdown. Throw down, throw back, throw up.
It's a world where the lines between
and away we probably go.
Lines between justice and corruption are blurrier than a pimp's moral compass. 300,000 kids missing, 13,000 migrant murderers roaming free. The borders become a playground for criminals and child trafficking. Enter Starsky and Hutch, two men with one mission: protect the people they swore to serve, no matter how much it ticks off the higher-ups, child abusers, feminazis, and billionaire donors. They've busted drug rings, taken down mob bosses, but this time, it's personal. They're not going to let a cartel of dirty politicians ruin their city, state, or country. Huggy Bear is back too, bringing his street wisdom, slick wardrobe, and connections to the case. Together, they're diving deep into a world of shady deals, political cover-ups, and human trafficking rings. With him on the case, the trio might just have a shot at bringing down the
Last
biggest
chance. Get the
criminal
thumbs up
enterprise
in
in
there.
history. But this time,
Make sure you're part of the solution,
stakes are high.
even though you're based.
As they dig deeper, Starsky and Hutch uncover just how far the corruption goes. The most powerful elected politician from their state, the
There you
woman
go. Thank
behind
you.
the podium, is behind this massive criminal operation. From political favors to secret offshore accounts, their target isn't just guilty. She's untouchable, at least until now. It's not about politics for them. It's about protecting the innocent. They work for the people on the streets, the people who don't have private security details and protected status. Get ready for car chases that defy physics, undercover work so smooth you'll question reality, and a takedown so satisfying it'll have you questioning why these two aren't running the country. This November, justice has a new name, and it's spelled with a lot of polyester and sideburns. Starsky and Hutch. They're not just solving crimes. They're fixing the system.
Right? Look at Tyson. Yeah. This is when you put your end links in too soon. Like a lot of people, you can pick out the time frame that you want to put those in. You don't have to use the whole thing they give you. You can actually you can trim it down and make it right. I try to make, if I ever add those end screen things, I try to make sure that it's like usually during my outro part where, I blip out back into reality, back into the 3D world, I guess. So you guys want to think about it that way, you can. You can also think about the fact that we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 super chats tonight. Snipe Hunter just actually got a 6. Uzawi 13 gave a Rumble rant over on the Rumble side. Snipe Hunter just on Talking Trash and Choose 3 times. Thank you guys all for trying to meet that goal. I appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you over there. I wish we could just count on Uzawi in with you, because that would count twice. But yeah, we're gonna do this thing. And most likely, I think, back to life, back to reality. Here she goes singing again, like one of those old jukeboxes on the table. But maybe tomorrow, maybe not. As I count down the days, I think I've gone 7 or 8 days in a row. I don't know how many now. I know that we've gone since last Saturday night. We did Sunday. I think the last time I took a day off was a Friday. So it's been Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I am required to take one night off a week. I kind of have to do that, and it might be tomorrow. I don't know. I still could show back up. I don't know. Sometimes it just works. I took Valentine's off. That was Friday, wasn't it? Yeah, of course I did. Yeah. So look, I'm going to send you over to Steve Ghazi. I want you guys to show up in force, and be like, there's 19 people here. Make sure you hit thumbs up when you're at the door. Show up in force. We're going to go out here with a little bit of frog wings. Let's see, did I get it to the right place? What I don't want is to get back in the hurdy-gurdy again. There you go. Oh, here we go. This is a perfect spot. Yeah, if you guys hadn't seen Frog Wings, it's John Popper, Derek Trucks, Jimmy Herring, Rob Baracco, Butch Trucks, and who else am I forgetting? Oh, Otio Burbridge and Kofi Burbridge, God rest his soul. Phenomenal band, but just a project side band thing. But man, they were so much fun. I mean, you talk about talent, you don't get more talented than these guys right here. They were a one-shot wonder. They just did a tour. It was fun. Jimmy used to talk about it and was like, man, that was a great time. I wish we could have done more with that band, you know. But you know, that band could have taken over the world, honestly. But that's the jam on now. We're gonna play a few minutes of that, and then you guys will be off to see Steve Godney. I will see you there. I'm gonna stop in and say hello for a second. I won't unless he invites me up, which he probably won't. I won't be on stream with him, but I will say hello in the chat. Let him know when he said, yeah, I saw you over there, Jacob. I know you're already over there because I was checking out places to go. Gosh, I seen you in that chat. Well, let them know we're coming. All right, we're on our way. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here this evening. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. You guys make it happen week in and week out. You are the most bass crowd on the planet. Don't let anybody tell you differently because they're just a bunch of liars. That's what they are. All right. So I will see you soon. And I wish you guys the best until that time. Thanks to everybody who supported the channel tonight. And God bless. And remember, until next time, stay based and keep on winning. Got that right, Maddie. Got that right.
is a friendship that